Hello, chat. Welcome to another HealthyGamer GG stream. My name is Alok Kanoja. Just a reminder that although I'm a psychiatrist, nothing we discuss today on stream is intended to be taken as medical advice. Everything is for educational or entertainment purposes only. If y'all have a medical concern or question, please go see a licensed professional. Welcome to stream, everybody. Happy Friday. Let's see here. How y'all doing? Yeah, so today we are talking to a creator on OnlyFans. And, you know, I know it sounds kind of shocking maybe, but we've worked with over 400 creators here at HG, and some of them are from OnlyFans. And in the world of content creation, there's a lot of evolution. And so we're here to learn a little bit about what it's like to be an OnlyFans creator. So I encourage y'all to, you know, treat our guests today with the same respect that we treat all of our other guests. Yeah, I mean, we're just here because we here at HG believe that human beings are, generally speaking, human beings. And that if we want to, like, understand and make the world a better place, understanding each other's perspectives is, like, a really important part of that. So, yeah. So we're looking forward to it. We are big fans of OnlyFans creators in general, all content creators, and we love supporting them. So, yeah. Couple of other quick announcements. We have Max Lugavare talking about diet and health this next Friday. So a week from now. So that should be really interesting. I think they've done a lot of research on like gut-brain health too. So we'll see what that's kind of like. And a couple of things. So we actually have group coaching spots available for the first time in a long time. So y'all should definitely check out group coaching. I think it's one of the best things that we offer at HG, and it's one of the things that's the hardest to understand. So I don't know how else to say this, but like sometimes in life you need a cohort of people, and as you go through life and face different challenges, having a cohort of people can be very, very helpful. So people who understand you, people who don't have any kind of dual interest, right? So you can ask like your mom to read your college essay, but she's going to be biased. So what we sort of see in group coaching is that people tend to do really, really well the longer they kind of stick with it. And the good news about group coaching is that it can kind of help you with lots of different things. So unlike, you know, other sorts of things which are just focused on one thing, you're going to go in, you're going to get this, and you're going to kind of get out. Group coaching is really about helping you navigate life with like a party XP buff. So any kind of challenges that you face, whether they're relationships or career stuff or whatever, like group can help with all of those things. What group really teaches you is a skill set to go through life. And you learn that by observing other people, by helping other people. And there's good evidence, for example, that one of the best things that you can do if you're depressed is actually to help other people, which is something that we've sort of missed out on in the field of psychiatry, is that getting better in life oftentimes involves things that are not like psychiatric treatment. So group is built on the evidence-based peer support model, which like the United Nations and like the Office of the Surgeon General of the United States, everyone's like, everyone should be doing more peer support. And that's what we do. So there's just incredibly powerful stuff that can go on in group. You can sort of really learn about yourself, recognize your blind spots as you see them in other people. And then you'll kind of come together and get a party XP buff for solving your problems. Yeah. So check out group for sure. Yeah. So I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, let me go ahead. Let's get started. Let's do a little bit of this and then a little bit of this. Hello. Oh God, did my headphones just go out? Can you count to 10 for me?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, let me see if
9, 10.
Okay, can you turn up your mic? Is there any way you can turn up your mic? I'm going to turn you all the way.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great.
Hello? Is this
Perfect.
better?
Yeah, that's way better. Okay,
Hello.
give me just 1 second. Hello. Give me one moment, my friend. And let's get started. Oh, looks like we did not change the name. Got to do this. And so what do you go by?
I go by Mintom, Min, Plushy GF, whatever.
Okay. Well, hopefully we fixed that. But right now it has you as XQC, which is...
Pog, we're juicers.
Yeah, I think... Let's see. That's good enough. Okay, welcome, Mintom.
Hello.
And thank you so much for agreeing to speak with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Can you tell me... So what would you like me to call you?
Mintom.
Okay.
Whatever you want. I don't really mind.
I will call you Min, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, so thank you very much for coming on. And I understand you're an OnlyFans creator. Is that correct?
Yeah, I am.
And is there something in particular you want to talk about today?
Maybe like how to feel like I'm worthy enough to do things.
Okay.
Just like anything in general, or like self-esteem stuff.
Okay. Sure. So can you tell me a little bit about whether you are worthy enough to do things?
Sometimes I feel like even with my job, I feel like I'm not pretty enough to be doing my job because it's a very, I would say like OnlyFans is very diverse, and so you can look a different way, you can have a different body shape, and people like will buy it. But for me, sometimes I'm just like, damn, like sometimes I'm like ugly. Like sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough to be doing my job.
Okay. And okay. And how long have you been doing your job?
It's about to be a year now.
Okay.
1 year.
And how long have you felt like you may not be pretty enough to do your job?
Since I started.
What about before you started?
Always, like still the same.
Okay. So it sounds like this doesn't have so much to do with the job as it does the way you kind of felt about yourself.
Yeah. I would say like I have very low self-esteem about myself.
Okay. And how do you understand that? Like why do you think that is? What's going on there?
I guess because like I think lowly of myself, and sometimes I feel like I'm not worthy enough to be able to do like simple tasks, like cater to my relationships, my job, or like anything in general.
How long have you felt that way?
My whole life.
Okay. Wow. That sounds like a rough way to go through life.
Yeah.
How has that affected you?
It's pretty difficult. Sometimes I feel like I don't deserve to um even have a chance to try things in life because
Oh
I
my
feel like
God.
I'm not good enough.
So do you deprive yourself of chances?
I think so, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about what growing up was like for you?
It's pretty difficult. It's very unstable. I'm Vietnamese, so both of
Okay.
my parents are Viet. So they immigrated during the Vietnam War and a little bit afterwards,
Okay.
between that time. So they have a lot of trauma. And my mom and my dad, they didn't grow up with parents. Their parents died when they were very young.
Oh my God.
And so it was pretty hard for them. My dad was very absent. He was very abusive too. And my parents were very abusive to me and to my two other sisters. I'm the youngest out of the three of us.
Hmm.
So it was pretty difficult. It was very unstable too.
And
Um,
and then so you mentioned you have two sisters. What was your relationship with them like?
Pretty bad. Um, they kind of treated me poorly because they would hold like I guess stuff against me.
Like,
Like, oh, mom and dad like treats you so much better. Treats me so much better, which is like, oh, have an extra candy because you were good today.
okay.
It would be like something small. Like they would hold that against me. And you know, like when you have siblings, like you guys fight, you guys like tease each other. But they like bullied me a lot. Like my family bullied me a lot when I was growing up.
What did that bullying look like?
They would tell me like I was ugly and that I would say that that's like a lot of people's family say that to
Yeah.
them because yeah, but it would be to the point where they'd be like, Mintom, you're so ugly. Like I would feel so sorry if someone married you. Like you're so ugly to the point where you're so unlovable. Like it's disgusting. Like they
Who,
would say stuff to me like that.
your sisters or your parents?
Both.
Oh my God. That's terrible, dude.
Yeah.
Do you have any sense why they would say things like that?
No, because I felt like when I was growing up, they didn't like me.
Well, it
So
sounds like
I
they
was,
didn't.
yeah, it was pretty hard because as an adult now, I just turned 19. Um, I sit here and I try to process what happened, and it's hard not to blame myself for stuff when most of it isn't my fault.
What kind of what does that self blame? How do you experience that self blame? Is it like thoughts, emotions?
Yeah, like let's say like I'm talking to someone. Sometimes I'm like, damn, like this person doesn't even like me. Like they probably don't like me. Like they probably talk to me because they're like because they feel bad. I don't know. They like hate me, but they like don't want to seem. They don't want to come off as rude. You know?
Mm. So
Yeah.
it sounds like you doubt when people express interest in you.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just kind of like struggling to sit with how hard your life has been, man.
Yeah. It's pretty difficult.
Yeah, can you help me understand what made you come on here today?
I just wanted to hear like I'm not sure. I just wanted to like I guess like ask if like I'm doing okay for a 19-year-old. Like I don't know. Like sometimes I feel like I'm not. Sometimes I'm like, damn, like
Oh,
am I doing good in life, you know?
sure. So what do you think?
No. Sometimes I'm like, damn, like you don't know what the fuck you're doing with yourself. Like you gotta figure it out.
Yeah,
But
can you tell me what you are doing right now? Like, what do you think a normal 19 should do, and what are you doing? Help me understand the compare and contrast.
going to school, contributing to society, and then I'm here taking little pretty pictures for OnlyFans. So
Okay.
sometimes I'm like, um,
And is that not contributing to society?
I joke about it. I'm like, yeah, I'm contributing to society, but then I sit here and I'm like, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Sometimes I just feel like I don't. If someone was in my position and they told me they were in the same exact position as I am, I'd be like, damn, you're doing pretty well.
Really?
But yeah,
Okay.
but
What
because it's me, I'm like,
well, so what would you say if it was someone else? What would make you say, "Damn, you're doing pretty well"? What are the things that would make you react that way?
damn girl, or damn dude, you've been through a lot of shit. You're doing
Yes,
pretty well.
absolutely. And and so, are you in school right now?
No, I had to take a gap year,
Sure,
and I'm deciding if I want to go back to school.
sure.
But I'm kind of like scared too.
What's scary about school?
Um, I'm scared that I won't get accepted again, even though like I got accepted. But like to be honest, I didn't really plan my life this far, so I guess that's why I'm very nervous or very scared.
Do you have people that support you emotionally?
Right now,
Yeah.
yeah, I have a couple, but sometimes I feel like I bother them, even though that's not like how I should feel when I talk to people. But I always feel like I'm being a nuisance to others.
Do you feel like a nuisance today?
Um, not really.
How
I
do you
don't think so.
how do you feel right now?
I feel kind of nervous.
Okay, so did I scare you with that question?
Yeah, kind of.
What was scary? Okay, so first of all, you're not bothering anybody. We're thrilled you're here.
Thank
I'm
you.
thrilled. I'm really, even though it's making me sad in a lot of ways, I'm really
I'm sorry.
grateful. I know it. I'm grateful for this conversation.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to talk to you.
Yeah. So I think it's. I don't. So okay. Let me just make a couple notes. So if I tell you this conversation is making me feel sad, how does that make you feel?
It makes you feel bad
Okay.
because I don't want to make you feel bad.
Are you responsible for my emotions?
No, I don't think so.
You don't.
Kind of,
That's
kind of, kind of,
right.
kind of.
So let's understand that. Let's just start there. So help me understand the kind of. You're doing great, by the way. This is
Thank
fantastic.
you.
This is helping a lot of people, I'm pretty sure. Okay. So help me understand the kind of. Are you responsible?
Um, I mean, if I said something mean to you and it made you sad, that's kind of my fault, right?
Yeah.
Things I say can affect how you feel or how you perceive it.
Yeah.
So
And so
yeah,
what kind of stuff should you blame yourself for? Right. So what's
damn,
appropriate to blame yourself for?
could have said reworded it a little better. Could have said it a little,
Yeah. So
nicer.
I actually think you said the most important thing, which is that if you said something mean, right? So like if you say something intentionally harmful or like oblivious, like if you're so oblivious to like my state of mind, but let's think a little bit about like, what did I sign up for in this conversation? What do you think? I sign up to
Um,
feel sad?
no,
Absolutely I did.
really?
Like, what the fuck? Like, have you seen our streams before?
Yeah, I've watched a lot of your streams. I'm a
And
big fan.
yeah, okay, well, thank you. But so this is what I'm saying. Like, so like I sign up for this, right? You sign up for this too. We sign up for this together.
Yeah,
And it's not all like roses and kittens and like
yeah,
sometimes there's some like bad shit.
yeah,
So what I'm seeing already, Min, and I'm gonna steer the conversation a little bit is like I think we need to. I want to help you and everyone else. Like, let's talk through and maybe try to understand what we should blame ourselves for. Where does pride come from? Where does self-esteem come from? Where does feeling bad about ourselves come from? Where does shame come from? Because oftentimes, if you grow up in a traumatic household, you're not like taught what's appropriately shameful. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
yeah. I feel like sometimes I get embarrassed because I feel like because I don't know if what I'm feeling is appropriate, even though I know it's appropriate, but it doesn't feel appropriate to me.
Yeah, I think, Min, the biggest thing that I'm kind of hearing from you is that a lot of us are lucky enough to be given a map for life. And
Hmm.
I get the sense that you really weren't. Like, like people didn't teach you how you're supposed to be when you're like 19 years old. They didn't say like this is what you should do and this is what you should do. They didn't instill you with confidence. Um,
Yeah, it's hard. Sometimes I get jealous
who do you get
because
jealous of?
my peers, sometimes my friends. I would say I'm not a very jealous person, but there's times where it hits me. I'm like, damn, like I wish I had someone to hold my hand because I felt like most of my life when I didn't really have someone to hold my hand. I was mainly like by myself.
That sounds hard.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
How do you feel about being jealous of your friends?
Um, Makes me feel like shit because I'm not. It's not like I hate you. It's
Mm-hmm.
just I wish I had what you had. Like I would do so much for to have my parents to tell me like you're so pretty today. Oh, you're so I love you. Like you're such an amazing person. Like I appreciate you being on this planet.
I can say two of those things authentically. I think you're an amazing person and I appreciate you being on this planet. I also think you're courageous for coming here today. I think you're brave. I think you're helping a lot of people. I think you're a good person. Um, and I think you're really unlucky. And it makes me sad that you had to grow up in the circumstances that you, which is not something you chose, right? Like you didn't get to pick this. You
Yeah,
don't,
I wish I could.
and so I think a big part of that is I also don't think you deserve the suffering that you've had in life because
Yeah.
I don't think you picked, like it's one thing if you fuck up and you're made to feel this way, right? But like I don't hear any reason why this should be done to you.
Yeah. I feel like now like um it's hard not to blame myself for things that I know isn't my fault because my parents really like or my family is not just my parents. They really engraved it in my head to think like majority of the things that happened to me were my fault. And I would say like I get hurt a lot because of that because I'm not sure. I just feel like it's always my fault even though it's not.
How did they engrave that into you?
They would be um like let's say I drop something, a cup of water. My family are very angry people. Like very, very angry people. So let's say I drop a cup of water and then my mom is gonna say shit like, oh, you're such a dumbass. Like, why would you drop that cup of water? Like, you're so clumsy. Like, a dog would be better than you. Like, she used to say things like that. She doesn't really say it now. Um, Also, I don't really hold things against my family. I forgive them for everything they've done to me.
Why?
Um, I used to be a very angry person, like very hateful. My I really hated my dad for when he abandoned me, because he had a gambling addiction, and he was gone for majority of my life, and he was cheating, creating families with other people,
Oh my God.
and then left my mom to be a single mom, and it was pretty hard. I really hated that because it made me feel like I wasn't good enough. Like, why does this kid get to have you, but I can't? You can't do it for me. It kind of makes me feel bad because sometimes I'm like, damn, like,
Yeah, you know, Min, when I hear that, that may be the single most damaging thing that a parent can do to a child.
Yeah.
Like, for a parent to kind of almost like intentionally like pick one child or love one child over another is like, I don't know. I mean, just in my professional experience, I've seen a lot of different kinds of abuse, and in a lot of ways, like that's the most damaging. I don't think it's helpful to rank. We're not making like a tier
Yeah.
list here of trauma, but I mean, that's tough, dude.
Yeah. It made me feel like shit too because he would compare me, because my family really hates him minus me and my mother, because my mom taught me to be a forgiving person. Because when I was younger, I used to resent him, and she'd be like, "Oh, Mintom, like you should forgive him, like like hurt people, you know." And I 100% agree with that. Like hurt people do hurt people, because I've hurt people because I was hurt. My mom has hurt people because hurt me because she's hurt. My dad has hurt people because he's probably fucking traumatized because he doesn't have a family. Like he didn't grow up with a family. So I don't hold things against him.
And but I mean, do hmm. I'd like to challenge that a little bit. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So you said that you've hurt people, but I would guess there are also a lot of people that you haven't hurt. I
Yeah.
don't know if that kind of makes sense. So do you feel comfortable sharing with us an example of like someone that you hurt?
Mm,
And you don't have to if you don't feel comfortable with that.
I have to think, because usually I would say like I'm kind of a people pleaser, so I don't really try to like I guess like start stuff with people.
Yeah. That's why I'm challenging it.
Um, I would say like when I was younger, I used to project a lot of my trauma onto my friends.
Like how young?
Like fucking 7 years old, twiddling my thumbs.
Yeah. So, man, like I know I'm supposed to like listen to what you have to say and agree with you on everything and all that good stuff and be supportive, but
No, it's okay. You can
I'm gonna push
disagree.
back. So the first thing is, if you hurt someone when you were 7, given the upbringing that you had, I think that's sort of forgivable. Like, I wouldn't blame a 7-year-old. So I think this is one of the biggest things. A lot of times when kids act out, we punish them, right? And
Yeah.
if they don't change their behavior, we punish them more.
Hmm.
And I think it's really sad that we live in a society where we don't ask why the kid is doing this. So a good example of this is like there will be kids who will smear feces on things at school. Like this is actually a relatively common
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And so you punish the kid, but like what kind of kid starts smearing feces over stuff? There's usually like something going on where the kid doesn't know how to handle like their emotional environment, what they're dealing with. Like they just don't know like they just can't, they don't have the capacity. They're emotionally drowning.
Hmm.
And like physically sometimes, I mean, I guess not metaphorically, but like even like physically, like, they're not getting proper food. They're not getting proper sleep. Like, and so then like human beings start doing weird shit when like stuff is overwhelming.
Hmm.
And you were saying hurt people. I think that's like a really good way to like forgive people, but also like you've been really hurt, and I think that there are many cases in which you don't hurt people, right? Like there's a lot you strike me as like a pretty good person, and so I think you're very caring about the feelings of others, and so I know it sounds kind of weird, but like you haven't left a trail of destruction in your wake. Maybe you haven't, I just don't know. But like I would guess that most people are happy to have you in their life in some way, except for your family, obviously.
Yeah. Um, Sometimes I don't feel that way
So,
because, oh,
yeah,
sorry.
no, go for it.
Because, um, like my mom used to tell me that like sharing your feelings or telling people your problems is a nuisance. Because she's such a strong woman. Like she's I look up to her a lot. My mom, even though she like kind of hurt me, but it's okay.
What do you respect about your mom?
She took care of two kids as a single parent with no child support, and she tried her best being a parent. Maybe not the best, but no one knows how to be a parent, you know? You don't get a freaking guide. Even then, like, her parents died when she was very young too. So I don't hold anything against her, like, at all. Is that weird?
I think it's remarkable
Why?
because most people who get hurt by humans hold stuff against them.
Hmm.
What do you think about that? Like most humans hold a grudge.
Hmm. Um, my my middle sister, she holds a lot of grudges against us, but sometimes I try not to get upset, but it's hard not to because it's like she did the best she could. You know, that's only we can. That's like all we can ever do in life is do the best we can. And I would say my mom did a pretty good job. I mean,
Sure.
I'm not like freaking doing crimes or anything. I would say like I'm pretty okay.
Okay. So it sounds like you respect your mom a lot because she did the best job that she could.
Yeah, with a lot of hardships. She that's pretty difficult.
Okay. So Min, are you doing the best job that you can do?
Sometimes I feel like I'm not, but I would say yeah. I'm trying my best.
And have you had a lot of hardships?
Yeah.
And do you respect yourself?
No.
Weird how that works, right?
Yeah.
Why not? What do you think is going on there?
I feel like almost like 90% of people I've met in my life have hurt me, like even friends too, and relationships too. So, you know how you said like I've been unlucky with my family and stuff? Like even with friends, I've been even more unlucky cuz they kind of fucked me over a lot too.
How so?
Um, let's say like this is so dumb, but like in middle school, okay? You know how like people say like when you're like a little kid, they're like, "Oh, I'd rather have one really good friend instead of like a gazillion friends. Like I'd rather have one really good friend than so many people in my life." I used to think that was so stupid because I was like, "What the fuck? Like, why would you rely on one person?" And I think that's because like I think that because I didn't have someone to go to. Like my
I
parents, like
see.
my family, they wouldn't do it for me, so why would others do it for me? And so I was I became popular in middle school. And so like I was friends with these girls, you know, they were really nice, really pretty, and they like shit on me too. They were like, "Bentom, you're so ugly. You're so fat. You're so disgusting." And like they really hypersexualized me as a child, which is very uncomfortable. I used to think it was very normal
What do you mean
when
by hypersexualized you?
they would be like,
You don't have to say that. I'm
no,
just
no, 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 no.
I'm just thinking
I'm
about
sorry.
like I've never heard of seventh
Like
graders hypersexual.
seven. Yeah, I didn't too, but these were different breeds, like different
Wow,
type
holy
of
shit, dude.
people. They were like, oh, Mintom, like I'm a very small person. I'm 4'11", so they would be like, imagine you having sex with like a grown ass man, or some weird shit like that, like wild shit. And I was like, I feel very uncomfortable because I'm like, what the fuck, like,
Holy shit, dude.
why
That is bad.
why are you as a freaking 12-year-old 13-year-old talking about sex? Like, bitch, we can't even drive ourselves anywhere. You're like talking about sex, like what? But like those group of people, they were like doing drugs, doing smoking, like drinking,
The
having sex.
popular kids.
Yeah, the popular kid. And so they kind of fucked me up too because I would confide in them because I'm fucking 12. I don't have no one to talk to. 13. Like, hey guys, like my mommy and daddy are like fighting. My dad's gone. Like, can you be a good friend to me? And then they're like, yeah, let's go drink. Let's go have sex. Let's do this. Let's do that. And it's like, I don't want that. I want to fucking cry. I want to cry. Like I just want a hug. That's all I wanted. And it wasn't like all the girls in the group. It was just like a couple. Um, there were some of the girls. They were following what the main girl was. So like they would say like racist stuff to me and like very harmful things to me, and it made me feel lowly about myself. But like when we got to high school, they like cried to me. They were like, like I'm very sorry for like how I treated you. Like
That's
I
rare.
didn't. Yeah, it's very rare to admit that what she did was fucked up. Yeah,
And
they were like,
you go.
I'm sorry. Like I hope you can forgive me. Like I understand if you can't forgive me because what I said was pretty shitty, pretty fucked up. I forgave them. I mean, like we're fucking kids. Like no one knows what the fuck they're saying when they're a kid. Yeah.
So I'm noticing that you have a different standard for other people than you do for yourself.
Yeah, I get it from my parents, I think.
How so?
um, I guess like they set very high expectations for myself. Or even when they don't say it, I feel it. Like I feel like I'm always being judged by them. Like they're like nitpicky. They're very nitpicky. I'm a very clumsy person, so they get very they're like, "Oh, you're so fucking clumsy. Like why are you like this?" Like, I don't know, I'm just a clumsy person. Like I'm sorry. Like damn. Like my fault. And they like kind of put me under like a microscope. They're like,
Mhm.
dude, like, why did you do your hair like that? Why did you put your makeup on like that? Why did you do this? Why do you look like this? Why do you look like that? So I would say like, even if they don't say like, oh, I have a set expectation for you, it's like I feel like I can feel it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so it sounds like you can almost read their mind even if they don't say anything.
Yeah.
Can you read my mind?
No.
Okay. Are there particular thoughts that you think I'm having or that you're worried that I'm having?
Yeah, sometimes.
Like, do you feel comfortable sharing those?
Um, I'm I don't know. I'm just very nervous, so
Yeah. I,
I'm like worried that you think of me as a very insecure person with low self-esteem, which I don't think is bad, but I care.
but isn't that what you said you were struggling with?
Yeah, but I don't like people not like thinking that. I don't know if that's weird. That's
So
probably
you
weird.
want me to think of you with respect?
Positive. Yeah.
And do you let's think about this. Do I respect you, Min?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So I know this sounds kind of weird, but so when people get traumatized, let's understand a couple things, okay?
Hmm.
When our brain grows up with adrenaline floating around, and
Hmm.
do you get how so in your environment when you get yelled at or whatever, right? Your body is going to produce adrenaline. Familiar with that concept?
Yeah.
Okay. And then as you produce adrenaline, it changes the way that your brain starts working. So one thing that adrenaline does is make things black and white. So there's no
Hmm.
like nuance. It's like either or.
Hmm.
Either I would guess that you've had times in your life where someone has made you feel like good, and then if they made you feel good, they made you feel really fucking good. Like you felt like, oh my god, like my world is changing. I finally found one person who's like everyone else's devils, and I found one angel. Have you had experiences like that?
Yeah, like with all my relationships.
Okay,
Like
right?
with everything. Yeah, I take things very literal. I'm a very literal person, so I don't say I love you unless I mean it. So if
Yeah.
you say you love me, I'm gonna think you love me. Like I'm gonna want you to keep saying I love you. Like I care about you. It makes me feel good because I feel wanted. Because
Yeah.
I don't. I feel like as a child I didn't feel very wanted.
Okay. And do you think that someone who loves you can be mad at you?
Yeah, of course.
And are you still able to feel loved by them when they are mad at you?
No, because I feel like they they hate me.
Right? If they're angry with you, that means that they hate you.
Yes, I think it's because my parents, when they were really like just mad in general, they would berate me
Yeah.
a lot.
Right. So if we want to understand why we have low self-esteem, let's start by like, and is it okay that I'm explaining stuff, or do you want me to ask you more questions?
No, it's okay.
Okay. Now I'm wondering, if I did something that wasn't okay, would you be able to let me know?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. I feel relieved by you saying that. And I'm gonna count on you to tell me what's okay and what's not okay, because
Hmm.
I can't read your mind. I'm not a mind reader like you are.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you're very good at reading minds, by the way. I'm not joking
Thank
about
you.
that. Yeah, okay. The first thing to understand is that when our brain grows up with adrenaline, we
Hmm.
start to see the world in black and white. But if we really think about it objectively, like, let's say like I'm married and I can love my wife and still be angry with her. Like those two things can exist at the same time. Does that make sense? Theoretically,
Yeah.
at least. But what happens when our brain gets wired with adrenaline is that things can't be gray. They're either black or they're white. So if they love me, it's like, oh my God, this is the purest and most amazing, crack pipe kind of love you can possibly get in this world. It's like, you just feel so good. And then if they get angry with you, like all of that stuff starts to crumble. It's either or, black or white.
Yes.
Okay. So I think one of the biggest challenges about self-esteem is that if we view the world as black and white, your self-esteem is either 100% or it's 0%. And the basic problem is that if you drop from 100 to 99%, it goes all the way to 0.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Can you explain what you understand or how that relates to your experience?
Let's say like my mom's upset at me, or let's say my mom told me she loved me, and then we got into an argument or something. She'll say like, "I hate you," whatever she wants to say, and then like 2 seconds ago you just said you love me, but now I feel like you hate me because you're berating me. You're telling me I'm disgusting, I'm worthless, whatever.
Yeah.
And that like feeling went from feeling good to feeling bad about myself.
Yeah. So, and it goes from 100 to 0. Can you sit at like 90% approval from someone, or is that not really possible for you? Do you
I'm not sure. I'm not so sure.
Okay. So we're going to experiment if that's okay.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to make a couple statements. You let me know how it works for you, okay? So,
Okay.
I think that you have very low self-esteem,
Yeah.
and I respect you and I think you're a wonderful person. Does that
Um,
compute?
yeah.
What are you getting from me?
You're giving me mixed signals. I can't tell if you like me or you hate me.
There we go. Okay, so let's just pay attention to that for a second. You're trying to take this mixed signal. I'm sending you gray, and you're like, what the fuck? Is this black or is this white? I can't tell. And my point is that it's gray.
Mhm.
It's neither black nor white.
Yeah.
That I can simultaneously enjoy a sandwich and wish it had less mayo. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Like, not
Yeah.
everything in life has to be perfect. Like, I can like certain things and dislike other things. Now, the problem with your self-esteem, sorry if I say that, it sounds weird, but
No, it's okay.
is that like you can't sit with shades of gray. And so then the problem is the only stuff that is going to improve, the stuff that'll sink in and affect your self-esteem is like 100% positive.
Mhm.
But I think the real tragedy here is if we really think about where self-esteem comes from, it's not being 100% good. It's actually being less than 100% good and being accepted anyway.
Mhm.
What are you hearing me say?
You're saying that like I don't have to be perfect, I guess, to be loved or like accepted or cared for, because that's like kind of better, because if I'm perfect, now I feel like shit if I mess up. That's like what I'm kind of getting.
Yeah. And then it gets even worse than that, because if I love you
Mm-hmm.
because you're perfect, what do I really love? Do I love you, or do I love the perfection?
Uh-huh.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense? So
Yeah.
even if you become everything that you want to be and you're perfectly beautiful, you're a 14 out of 10 on the pretty scale. You're amazing, you're graceful, you're not clumsy, you're intelligent. Even if you become the person of your dreams and people start liking you, it's kind of scary, because what do they like? Do they like me, or do they like the perfection that I exude? Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense?
Yeah.
Do you ever think like that? Like, even when someone likes you or treats you well?
Sometimes I just feel like it's just ingenuine because I'm like, what the hell do you like about me? I'm clumsy. I don't even think I'm that good looking. I'm like, okay, I'm like a 3.5, 4 on a good day. And then like it makes me feel good, but then I get intrusive thoughts of like, damn, like I don't think someone could love me at all. Or I don't think someone could be this genuine about me. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of tricky, right? Because if someone does love you and you trick yourself into blocking it or not accepting that love, how are you ever going to feel loved?
Yeah. I I would say I'm most scared of that because I used to want my parents to love me so bad. Like I would do so much to have my parents' approval when I was growing up, but I felt like no matter what I did, it wasn't enough for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard cuz I felt very unlikable. I hated myself. I genuinely woke up and I would just cry cuz I would be like, "Bro, I'm so ugly. I look fat. I don't look like a supermodel at fucking 12 years old." Like I just don't feel good enough to want to be here anymore. And I was like very suicidal when I was younger. I'm not anymore, thank God. I'm so glad I'm not. But it was hard waking up in the morning feeling angry about myself and disliking myself so much.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And like, my my friends are supposed to be my friends, but then they're shitting on me. My family's shitting me. My relationships, all suck. They're all abusive. They my boyfriends, my little boyfriends or whatever, they treat me like shit too. Like everyone in my life is treating me like shit, and I don't know why everyone keeps treating me like shit. So now I feel like I'm the problem, even though I'm not. Because why does so many bad things keep happening to me? Like, oh yeah, I've been unlucky. Once, twice, 3 times, but this many times, like, I'm going to start feeling like I'm the problem, even though it's like everything that has happened in my life has been out of control. It's just, I feel like it's my fault still.
Can I think for a second, man?
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, I still have, I don't think any less of you. I respect you. I think you're a good person, all that
Oh,
stuff.
thank
Okay.
you.
So if I'm
I
like
appreciate.
closing my eyes and stuff, like,
Oh, no, 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 no. It's
okay,
okay. Yeah.
I'm just thinking about what you're sharing is just so good that I need to figure out how to respond. It's gonna take me a second. Okay.
Just okay. Take your time. Don't feel rushed.
I do feel rushed.
No, 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 no. Don't feel rushed.
Okay. Okay. So here's the problem. So let's just think this through, okay?
Okay.
So you've been unlucky. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And if shit keeps happening to you, let's just say like you end up in abusive relationships, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're in like super dangerous territory, because if we say, okay, this is not your fault, you're not doing anything wrong, then oddly enough, what that does is that takes away the power of your destiny from you. Now, that's weird. But if you're not doing anything wrong and shit keeps happening to you, you do not fundamentally control whether shit keeps happening to you or not. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's just bad luck over and over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. I think in some ways you are doing things wrong, quote unquote. I don't blame you for it. I don't think there's a wrongness to it. I think generally speaking, what we see in people, kids who are abused growing up, is that they find abusive romantic relationships and they go and they seek them out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's a difference between blaming yourself and being like, oh, I'm such a fucking stupid person because I keep on dating the wrong people. That's not what I'm trying to get you to. But at the same time, what I want you to understand, and what I want everyone to understand if you keep on finding yourself in abusive relationships, is that you have some power here. We have to acknowledge that you have some power, but then the problem is that if you have power, then you also have responsibility. The two come hand in hand. I've never been able to figure out how to give someone one power without responsibility. Mm-hmm. So either you have some control, in which case it kind of becomes your fault, or you have no control and then it's not your fault. But I think the key thing to understand is we have to separate out like value as a human being. Like just because you've made mistakes, I don't even think they're mistakes. I think the reason you ended up this way, it's not really your fault. It's just like no one taught you how to form a healthy relationship. Literally, probably.
Yeah.
Right? So if you look at like, single mom, dad is gambling addict, has a lot of like other kids and stuff like that. Like, like what was a healthy relationship supposed to look like? Like, how do kids learn how to talk? How do they learn how to walk? How do they learn how do they learn what is a relationship? They learn by what they see. And what I'm hearing is that your parents' relationship was not the healthiest, and that you had a couple of older sisters and their relationship with you was not super healthy. I'm guessing that if they had romantic relationships, those were not really the healthiest.
They were all shitty.
Right? So what are you learning how to do? The only thing you're being taught is like how to have a shitty relationship. So that's not your fault, but I do think that you have some control over whether you have shitty relationships or not.
Yeah, definitely.
And what do you think, how do you get into these bad relationships? Do you remember?
Yeah. I was groomed a lot as I was growing up because I seeked out. Yeah.
That's really not your fault.
Yeah. I seeked validation. Actually, minus one relationship was the only one I wasn't groomed in. But I would talk to them, hey guys, let's be friends, we start being friends, and then they start grooming me. They're like, oh, I care about you, I love you, I appreciate you, you're so pretty, you're so perfect, you're so this, you're so that, like shit I want to hear, like from people. And then I was like, damn, like, now I'm here crying about my shitty boyfriend, my shitty partner, and they're telling me to, like, I'm ugly, I'm worthless now. Like they love bomb me, and then they switched up. They're like, oh, like you're ugly, you're shitty, I'm gonna cheat on you. I've been cheated on a lot of times, obviously. Like I'm not gonna. And now like I feel like, damn. Like if my 13-year-old me is thinking like, wow, if my boyfriend doesn't like me, like now what? Who's gonna love me? If the one person who told me they love me and they care about me, they cherish me, I'm their world, whatever the hell they told me, why do I feel like anyone's gonna love me anymore? Because I've just been hurt by everyone. And like, oh sorry.
No, go for it.
It's frustrating. I get very frustrated because it's like some of them like, damn, I'm sorry I fucked you up. That's all like a lot of people can say to me is they're sorry. But like when you were doing the action, you weren't sorry. You're only sorry because you got caught. You're only sorry because you're fucking sitting here 2 years later. You're like, damn, what I did was not good. But it's like, but I have to sit here, be a forgiving person to you, and move, like, be a forgiving person and move on.
Wait. Hold on a second. Why the fuck do you have to be a forgiving person?
Because I can't pass the mental fortitude of like not forgiving them. Because then if I don't forgive them, I'm angry at them. Now I'm mad. Now the shit lives in my head rent free. But I don't want that shit to live in my head rent free. I want to move on. So I'm going to forgive you in order to move the fuck on. Does that make sense? I don't know. That's weird.
It makes too much sense.
Why? Is that bad?
It is adaptive and maladaptive.
Okay.
So it helps you move on, but it also like reinforces this pattern of like, I'm going to put you above me. Cause like, right. So that's the problem is like when you forgive someone who wronged you, like you don't actually have to forgive him. So now you have a choice. You can either respect yourself enough to not forgive them, or you can move past it. Right? Because if you stay angry at them, you're right. It lives in your head rent free. And what does that get you?
It makes me feel like shit. So I'm going to forgive them for my own sake to move on. But sometimes I get mad. I'm like, damn, why do I always have to be the bigger situation with my family, with my friends, with my boyfriends, with all these? And these are people older than me, grown ass adults who should know what the fuck, how to treat people with respect. But here I am. Like, I have to be the bigger person for you in order for me to move on. That's, like, the most angering part, I would say. Like, because I'm just like, damn, like,
that.
I'm
That's
like, what the fuck?
Up, dude.
Yeah. And I try not to get angry at it because I don't want to be an angry person. I want to be happy. That's all I want in life. I just want to be happy. But, damn, it's hard to, like, forgive people. Keep forgiving after they do me wrong. But yes. I do it. Yeah.
So I think there's a way to learn how to not forgive people and move on. Right? Really? So if you had that option of like, I'm not going to forgive this person disrespected me and they actually don't deserve my forgiveness. The pain that they caused me is like, nah, fuck you. And also like, I'm done with you.
Everyone?
Huh?
I shouldn't forgive everyone?
I don't think so.
Why?
I mean,
like, people fuck up,
yeah,
I can't be, holding that shit against them.
Why not?
Like, because my parents fucked me up. I feel like the biggest betrayal was from my parents. If I can forgive them, I can forgive a lot of people.
Do they? Yeah.
That's the biggest betrayal I went through in my life was my parents. And the second one was probably with my friends, like maybe like 2 or 3 people who really fucked me up, and it was hard for me too.
So Min, here's what I'm gonna say. I think, is this a conversation okay with you, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Comfortable.
So I think something about the pattern with which you live life has to change.
Really?
Right? So, yeah.
Why?
Because the strategy that you're playing right now is getting you the results that you get. Right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you want different results, you've got to change what you do.
But I feel like... Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but...
Cut me off. Love it.
But if... Let's say I wasn't a forgiving person, right? I would be by myself because I wouldn't have my friends anymore. Because some of them kind of fucked me over. Not all of them. But I forgave them because people make mistakes. But that's my biggest fear. I don't want to be by myself.
Right. So since you don't want to be by yourself, you tolerate other people treating you like shit because you're more scared of loneliness than you are of like, right? And so now you have a choice that you can feel like shit and be with someone, or you can force people to treat you with respect and then they'll fucking leave. The problem is that there's actually this third category of like people who treat you with respect and you demand that they treat you with respect. And since they respect you, they stay. But you're not giving yourself that option because you're so afraid of loneliness.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you set boundaries with people, what do?
They'll try not to go over them. They'll try to respect them.
I don't think so. I think when you set boundaries with people, they plow all over them, and then you let them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I'm having this conversation out of respect with you, which means that I'm not treating you with like compassion and kid gloves and like, oh my God, man. Like, I genuinely do think you've had one of the shittiest lives I've ever heard of, and it's not your fault, and you don't deserve that. And you deserve love and companionship, and for people to respect you, and for you to be able to respect yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, whether you do OnlyFans or you don't do OnlyFans, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, you do whatever makes you happy, and, you know, however you want to make money in life, that's your choice.
Yeah.
No judgments.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I'm going to challenge you on, and I challenge you because I respect you, is that there's like some, like this pattern that you're in, I don't think is helping you long term. And it's the fear of being alone, right? Because when someone treats you like shit, like when you have a boyfriend or whatever who treats you like shit, why do you let them? And I don't think this makes you weak, by the way, right? I'm not, so please don't. I'm genuinely asking, look at yourself and understand, why do you let them?
Because I feel like they'll change, even though I know they won't. Because they won't.
But there's a part of you that knows that they can, right? Because you saw them when they were perfect. And you know that if you play your cards right, they will go back to that perfect. Oh, man, you're so beautiful. I love you. You're perfect. Oh, my God, no one's ever made me feel this way. I want to spend 7 lives with you. 1 life isn't enough. They say, so you've seen them be perfect, right?
Yeah.
And so when they treat you like shit, like, you just want to go back to that perfection.
Yeah, that was my biggest problem with my most recent one. It was like my most healthiest relationship. But I don't know. Shit just flipped. He was a bad person.
Was or wasn't?
Wasn't. I think the problem is, I think the people I get into relationships with aren't bad people. They're just shitty partners. Like, you know how, like, when you date people, you can be like...
Fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Like, you know how there's, like, shitty friends, but they're not bad people. They're good people, but they're just bad friends. That's just how I feel with my relationships. They're not horrible people. I think they just don't know what the fuck they're doing.
So what makes it hard for you to date people that know what the fuck they're doing?
I don't know.
So my guess...
I feel like... Sorry.
Yeah?
I feel like the people who I get into relationships with at first, they like fool me, or like they gas. I don't know what the fuck they do.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I got my shit together. I know what I'm doing. I know what I got everything in the bag. You know, I have everything planned out. I'm good. I'm whatever. I'm perfect. And then I'm like, okay, you're perfect. I like you. And then I catch feelings. And then they're like, oh, let me get the cat out of the bag now. Oh, I do this. Oh, also, like, I'm also a bad person. Oh, I secretly don't like you.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're at the outset, like, perfection is what you're looking for. Right? So it's the people who can pretend to be perfect, because no one's perfect.
It's perfect.
Right? So you go for the dudes who claim to have all their shit together at whatever. Like, no one's got their shit together. And by the way, you're wondering what's normal for 19-year-olds? No, what's normal for 19-year-olds is for you to not have any fucking clue what's going on in this world. That's normal. I'm serious, like, statistically.
Yeah.
Right? So no one's going to have their shit together. And I think it's almost like, my guess is that, you know, what happens a lot is that people, there are people who are... There are people who are traumatized themselves and sort of figure out that, okay, I've got this pile of nastiness inside me, but, and since I am like a fucking fucked up person in here, no one is ever going to love me unless I pretend to be perfect. And to compensate for all the shit down here, I have to pretend to be perfect. And I have to like pretend that I love them, and I have to give them. Otherwise, oh my God, I'm so into Min. She's so amazing. Like she's like, oh my God, she's broken, and like I can heal her with my love.
Yeah,
right?
I date people with savior complexes.
Yeah,
like,
so
quite
fucking
literally.
yeah, right. So then they're bringing all this shit to the table. But then, since they're bringing all this shit to the table, they know that the only way to get Min to look at me is if I tell her she's gorgeous, and I tell her this, and I tell her this. And so they start playing this like manipulative game because they want to dance with you, and they can't say, hey, I'm a flawed human being. Any chance you'll accept me? And then you're playing the same game. Right? So there's...
Yeah, because
Yeah?
I try to act like I have my shit together, but
Yeah,
my fucking world is crumbling.
So I know that sounds weird, but like, where does confidence come from? It doesn't come from having your shit together. It comes from people accepting you even when you don't have your shit together. Right? So you growing up, your parents, your family were like, if you do perfect, we will love you. And if you do less than perfect, fuck you. And what unconditional love means, and that's what leads to confidence and self-esteem and all this kind of shit, is that, hey, you fucked up, I love you anyway.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I'm learning as an adult now. Love isn't conditioned. It's like I don't have to feel like I'm busting my ass to feel loved.
Yeah, that's good. So I think as you learn that, like, it's going to be huge. And love for yourself, it's going to be hard, man. Now we're going into the hard difficulty. Love for yourself doesn't have to be conditional as well.
Yeah.
But is your love for yourself conditional?
Nope. It's hard.
Wait, so you do have conditional love for yourself?
No.
You have unconditional? I'm confused.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't even know.
Do you love yourself no matter what?
I don't even... I like myself. I want to say I love myself.
Yeah, I think the answer is no, right? So I think that how much you love yourself and how good you feel about yourself depends on how you look that day in the mirror, or whether other people are nice to you, or all kinds of external stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get embarrassed because I'm like, why don't I know this? But I don't know.
So I respect you more because
Why?
a lot of people, the reason you don't know this is because you weren't taught. Like, fundamentally, that's why human beings don't know things, because we're not taught. And I respect you because you're making a concerted effort at the young age of 19, and I'm going to go ahead and call that young. I know a lot of people think it's old.
No, it's very young.
At the age of 19, you are trying to take control of your life. Right? So this is stuff that, like, imagine if your mom was 19 and she did what you're doing today, what would her life be like?
I think she would have her shit together.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So, like, props to you for, like, there's this cycle, right? There's this cycle of abuse that gets passed down from generation to generation. Your parents grew up without parents. So how the fuck are they supposed to know how to parent? And they don't know how to manage their emotions. Everyone's angry. Everyone's blaming everybody. They probably feel like shit too. I'm pretty sure, you know, your mom and your dad on some level feel like they're not good.
Yeah, my mom has cried to me. I've never seen her cry. She's cried to me, and it hurts me because I don't want her to think that I hate her. I don't hate her. I don't hold shit against her. You tried your best. That's all you could do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what I think is cool is that you're, like, taking the time, the effort, the energy to put yourself in a situation where you're like level 1, right? You're like entering this game of, like, understanding your patterns, understanding your emotions, understanding your self-esteem. Like, no one taught you this shit. And mad respect to you for that. It's really easy to go show up places where we're, like, at the top of the list. Like, oh, look at me. I'm so great. I'm so sexy. And then it's hard to go to places where we're, like, at the bottom of the totem pole and we don't know what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really awesome that you're able to do this.
Yeah. I feel like it took a lot for me to get to the place I am now.
And who deserves credit for that?
Me.
Do you give yourself credit for that?
Sometimes I'm like, damn, like, 13-year-old me would not be thinking I could be doing the shit I'm doing now. Sometimes I'm like, fuck, like 13-year-old me would not think I would be here now, like where I am now at all. And it makes me sad because sometimes I have a regret of like, I wish I kind of made a map to know what I want to do, because sometimes I like when I got accepted into school, I cried because I didn't think I was smart enough to get into school. But then my mom, she got remarried, and my stepfather had died like a year and a half ago because of ALS. So it was pretty hard. And then she asked me to like stay for like not go to school for a year because she didn't want me to be because she didn't want to be alone. So that's what I've been doing since I was 17. Like after I graduated high school, I made like a plan too, and it kind of just went to the shit, like to the gutter, because I was like, damn, now I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like I made a roadmap. The roadmap went off the rails. It went to like somewhere. Now I'm here like I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't like that.
It's scary.
Yeah, it's really scary because I feel like watching my friends and my peers like college, woohoo, yay, college. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm doing OnlyFans. I'm trying to process 18, 19 years of trauma. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Do you want to talk about OnlyFans?
Sure. I don't mind.
How did you
It's
make the decision to start doing OnlyFans?
so when I just turned 18, I was like, because I used to work at a restaurant. It's pretty hard. Fucking understaffed, busting my ass off. I was working doubles as a student. They really abused me at that workplace. So I was like, I'm not sure if I really want to, you know, go back. And then I had like a small following, maybe about 30, 40,000 followers on Twitter when I was 17. And then I was like, fuck it, just do
How do you get
OnlyFans.
30,000 followers on Twitter at the age of 17?
I don't know. Don't ask me. I can't tell you. Because if I didn't have that following, I wouldn't even be doing my job right now. I'd probably be like touching grass or something.
Okay.
So I got, and then my stepfather had died. Um, I felt bad, so I was like, let me help my mom pay the bills. So I was like, you know what? Let's just do OnlyFans. Fuck it, we ball. Now I'm here.
And what's it like to be an OnlyFans creator?
I like it. Sometimes I hate it though,
What do you
cause um, let me think about what I'm going to say, cause I don't want to come off as rude. I have some people who say very disturbing things about me and saying they wanted to do things to me when I was 17.
Okay.
And that makes me very uncomfortable. Like they say some really horrendous shit about me.
I can
Like as a
imagine.
child. Yeah. So
You're talking about people who are your who or
are
you
subs to me?
subs and OnlyFans now are talking about stuff in the past, not like Twitter when you were 17.
Both. Both.
Okay.
I get both. Some
So
of
it
them
sounds
are like,
like you were
wow,
sexualized in many ways
as
as a
a
minor.
child.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sexualized so much as a child. I was essayed when I was a child too. So it's
Okay.
pretty, I would say I'm pretty desensitized to it now, but sometimes I'm like it's just icky.
Yeah.
Doesn't make me feel good because a lot of them are like, "Wow, man, I wish you were younger." What the fuck? They say really really weird, gross things about me because I look younger than I look. I think a lot of people think I'm like 16, 15 sometimes. I'm a very small person too, so there's some people who say very horrible things about me and how they want to do some weird shit about me.
And what's the stuff that you like?
What do you mean, like?
You said that there's some stuff about being an OnlyFans creator you
Oh,
like.
oh, so a lot of people shit on people who sub to OF girls or just OF in general. Some of these people are just normal. They just want companionship. I think everyone wants companionship, like in life, and that's okay. Like if that's how you get companionship, that's how you get companionship. I'm not judging you. I try to make a safe space for my subs because if I was fucking in a relationship with someone or I was talking to someone, I would want them to treat me with the same amount of respect and same compassion and whatever as how they would. Like it's normal to want companionship. I don't think it's weird.
I don't
I
think it's
think it's
weird either.
yeah, I don't think it's weird. But some people are just like, whoa.
And so how do you create a safe space for your subs?
Um, some of them are like, oh, I like this, I like that, and they're like, do you think this is weird? Because a lot of them are kind of, some of them are very insecure the things they're into, like sexually. So
Hmm?
I don't want to make them feel bad because it's like, okay, I might. Some people might think it's weird. I don't really care. Like at least you're not hurting people. You know, there's worse shit you could be doing. You could be hurting people. If that's what you're into, you're not like hurting anyone. If that's what you're into, that's what you're into. I'm not gonna judge you. Because I wouldn't want someone to judge me for liking whatever. Like, yeah.
It sounds
I,
like you're quite accepting of that. Sometimes people will bring their insecurities to you, and you're kind of like,
yeah.
you treat them in a non-judgmental and compassionate manner.
Yeah. Because I would want someone to do that with me. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so do you? So it sounds like OnlyFans for you has been like an overall like positive
Positive?
choice.
Eh, it's like in the middle.
Okay.
Because sometimes I'm like, my mom actually found out I did OF recently. I
How'd that
told her
go?
interesting. I told her I was like, "Hey mom, I'm boosting on League of Legends." Told her I'm a booster. I don't know if you know what boosting is.
Yeah, you like queue up with people and
I was a
are you
booster
are
on League of Legends.
are you actually like are you good at League of Legends?
I was Diamond 1 Masters.
Damn. Girl
Yeah.
got skills.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, "Hey mom, I boost. I play children's video games for a living." She was like, "Okay, that's cool." And then someone told her. She found out. I'm shocked it took her that long to catch me. I'm not even gonna lie. And then she's like, "Hey, like, I'm kind of worried. Like, she thought I was getting pimped because she's speaking to me in Viet. Essentially, she thought I was getting pimped. I was doing like stupid shit. I was like, oh no, I'm not. I just sleep at home. I play League. I do my job. That's it. That's literally all I do." And then she was like very worried, I guess, because she was like, "Oh, I'm scared that like people are gonna hurt you and this and that." Very normal stuff. And then yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I think she's not happy with it, but I don't really care, which is surprising because my mother is a very hard person to please.
Yeah, I think that's I'm I feel good hearing that exchange for some reason. And I think
Yeah.
there's some amount of like because she's not saying, she's not going back to her old scripts.
Yeah, she's changed a lot.
And also like I hear her expressing worry for you as opposed to
Mhm.
like treating you like it sounds like she's like the main negative emotion that she's feeling is worrying, which is a part of caring.
Yeah.
And it sounds like
Sometimes
she's
she's
concerned
not
for your
very good at it.
safety.
Yeah, sometimes she's not very good at it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
As you
I feel like I get nervous when I meet new people because there's a lot to unpack. Like sometimes I'm like,
What do you mean?
hey, like trauma, my job, my
I see.
family. Like my recent relationship, I felt like he thought my mom was a horrible person. And that kind of made me upset because my mom's trying, you know? Like, my mom is a very extreme person, I would say. Like,
Hmm.
she Um, I don't know how to explain it. She like let me give you an example. So like let's say like we got into an argument, right? She used to like go a whole year without speaking to me. Like ignore me, like ghost me. Like she would pretend like I didn't exist.
For like
And then like
literally a year?
it used to be longer. Now it's like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month.
Wow.
1 week if I'm lucky. And he was like, "That's not very normal." And I was like, "Yeah, but my family isn't very normal. I'm not normal." But I was like, like I hope you don't judge. I That's the biggest thing about myself is I get worried that people are going to judge me because I didn't come from a very normal or stable background. Cuz I'm like, "Damn." Cuz he was like, "Oh, like it's very fucked up that she does that to you. Like it makes you feel like shit, like she abuses you." I was like, it's okay. Can't change her. It's just who she is.
How did it
And
make you feel to say that? To
to say what?
say
That's who
that,
she is.
to have this, your partner say this kind of stuff about your mom, and for you to kind of like defend her?
I think it was just I thought of them as ignorant because my parents have a lot of emotional baggage. No one know they're like the typical Asian, immigrated parents who are like, "Oh, mental health is it's fucking fake. It's fucking delusions. You're just making this shit up in your head." But it's like my mom used to be like that, but now she's a lot more understanding. I think she's going to therapy soon. Thank God. I'm happy for her. But she like it just hurt me because it's like I get it. Your parents didn't do that way, but I think you should be compassionate to people who have been through stuff too.
Man, you're really resilient, man.
How?
Just like I think so many people in your situation would have ended up like bitter and angry and basically repeating the cycle, right? Like, we haven't asked you, we haven't heard any reasons to think that you're toxic, but I wouldn't be surprised if you exhibited toxic behaviors from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think it's just hard to be so forgiving and compassionate when you've gotten fucked over so much, to be blunt. Like,
Yeah.
so maybe I'm wrong about this whole, you don't have to forgive people. I mean, maybe you're, it's good that you're forgiving and letting go of anger and all this kind of stuff.
I don't know. Sometimes I get scared that
Like,
I forgive people. Um, when we broke up, it was very interesting. It was very weird. Wasn't the best. I felt very betrayed. And for like the first time in a very long time, I felt like I was talking to someone who reminded me of my father. And that takes a lot for me to say because you gotta do a lot to fuck me up like that. And I've been hurt a lot. I've been hurt a lot of times in my life. So it took a lot for me to say, like, what she did, like, really reminded me of my father. I felt betrayed.
oh my God,
Yeah.
that sounds rough, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of felt bad because I was like, damn, like, am I a bad person to compare you to my father? But then I was like, I'm not sure.
I, I don't think you're a good person or bad person if you make a comparison. That's just, your mind makes comparisons. Like, that's what it does.
Yeah.
Um, I think one thing I'd be super careful about is like, so sometimes, when we get traumatized, we start to develop this ideal of what we want
Hmm.
in relationships and jobs, whatever. And then the scariest thing, the actual, not scariest, the most dangerous thing is to find that ideal. So we like think like, okay, like I'm looking for perfect, and like, here's perfect. And then we get so excited. And then we start to think, oh my God, like the past is behind me. Now things are going to be different. This person is different. This job is different. This situation is different. And interestingly enough, like, I think that's when we get taken advantage of the most, because there's a certain like vulnerability of like wanting that perfection. We're so hungry for it that, I don't know if you've heard this phrase of, when you wear rose tinted glasses, Red
No.
flags just look white.
Oh.
Right? And when we get so into someone, or we start to think like, oh my God, this is the perfection I've been looking for, then we start to ignore a lot of things.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, of course.
Is it bad that if I don't have expectations for other people? Is that a bad thing?
It is saintly and not great for relationships. So to have no expectations, go ahead.
Um, I feel like with platonic and romantic, I feel like I I don't have any expectations for people, because every single time I've had an expectation, I've been disappointed or I've been hurt.
And what do you do when people disappoint your expectations?
I just don't care. I detach myself from the situation because I'm like,
Yeah,
whatever.
so I think that this is where, like, to be, let's just think about this from a very simple level. So when someone disappoints my expectations and I'm in a relationship with them, I have two choices. I can hold them accountable to my expectations, or I can not hold them accountable to my expectations, right? Now, the interesting thing is when you hold people accountable, some people will agree to that. Like, hey, you taking my car without my permission is not acceptable. That's wrong. I need you to apologize and promise to me that you'll never do it again. And also, if you do it ever again, I'm going to call the police and we'll be done. Because a relationship is about reciprocity, right? It's about give and take. A relationship is about give and take. Without that, it can become all kinds of other things. It can become a dependency. It can become abusive. And this is what I say, like, having no expectations for people. Like, there are saints and yogis and monks who live their whole life letting go of the expectations of everybody around them. But that's cool if you're a monk, because you don't need shit from anybody.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a good thing to do for your mental health. And I think that it will lead to increasingly bad relationships, because when you never hold people accountable for their actions, it's like, I'm going to do the dishes today. You're going to do the dishes tomorrow. And if I do the dishes today and then tomorrow rolls around and you don't do the dishes and I end up doing them anyway, who's going to end up doing all the dishes? I will.
Yeah.
And so I think that when you don't hold expectations to people, I think that there's a reason why you like find yourself in like bad situations, because you probably teach people that they don't have to respect you.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, like, yeah, I would say, like, I'm a very big pushover. I think it's because, like, my parents undermined me a lot as a child.
So when I say things like that, does that make you feel bad?
It makes me feel stupid.
So this is the challenge that I have, is that I don't think, so what I'd love to help you do is separate out the value judgment from the behavior. So like, I think the reason that I don't think you're stupid at all, I think you're brilliant.
Thank you.
Do you believe me when I say that?
No, because I just think this regularly.
So let's think about that for a second. When I send you an authentic signal, and if you can't receive that, what does that mean for your self-esteem?
I got some fucked up self-esteem.
Yeah, right? Because you can't ever get the positive. Now, if I tell you, so if I were to hypothetically tell you, I do think you're stupid, that would sink right in. You'd be able to accept that from me. See, like, that's what's so fucked up about the situation, is that you're only willing to take the bad, but you're pushing away the good. And that may make you feel even stupider, because you're like, why am I so fucked up that I can only... No, but that's the thing, is like, I really think, I genuinely think you're a good person. I think you're brilliant. I think for you to be able to come this far with the situation, like, I don't know if you get this. It's like you're fucking discovering quantum mechanics and you've never been to a science class, right? You've come so far without the basic shit. It's like you're playing Survivor and you built a spaceship. And you may say, like, my spaceship can't reach the moon. Well, like, yeah, it can't reach the moon. But you also built it out of, like, coconuts and sand and crab shells. Right? So, like, and that's where I think you've really come a long way with huge disadvantages. And at the same time, you do have some stuff that I think that, like, can be worked on. And that's the hard thing. I'm struggling this whole time to tell you, hey, I think there's a different way to do things without making you feel bad about it, because I don't blame you for not knowing.
Don't feel bad. You can
I
just
know.
say,
oh, shit. Now I stepped on, I stepped on another landmine.
No, it's okay. I don't care.
No. But do you see which landmine I stepped on?
It's okay.
I stepped on the landmine of, oh, no, now I'm feeling bad. And if if I'm feeling bad, then what does that trigger in you?
Well, I like it when people are honest with me. I don't really like being sugar-coated to things. That's just it. That's just me.
Yeah.
I like authentic. Yeah.
But I know that you like that. But when I say that something is difficult for me, you step in and you start comforting me and, like, like maybe even thinking about how can I do things better? How can I make things easier for you? It's not your job to make things easier for me. We're having an authentic conversation. You're not responsible for my feelings. It's okay for shit to be hard for me.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not. I agree. I don't know. I don't know how to not be a pushover. Because I used to be. Every single time I've spoken up, I got put down.
And yeah, so I think that's why, like, this is what's weird. Like, I wouldn't call you a pushover. I think that's a little bit black and white. But I agree that you probably let people cross your boundaries and don't advocate for yourself. And the reason for that is because you were taught from a young age that you didn't have intrinsic worth, right? Like, and that's not your fault. Like, it's really not.
Mm-hmm.
And, not being a pushover starts with a couple of things. Number one, recognizing that you're a pushover.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, this is really important. When we send you good shit, you got to stop swatting it away.
Yeah.
Because that's where the esteem comes from. So you can't learn self-esteem on your own. That's what's so weird about it. Self-esteem actually comes from other people. When enough people send you esteem, it kind of builds up. And what we see in you is the opposite, right? Even now, your mom is not treating you the toxic way that she used to. But that idea of who you are and your lack of worth stays with you. And then it gets a life of its own, and it's perpetuated by this. So the most important thing you need to do is stop swatting away compliments. Now, why is that hard? Because it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. And then also, like, I'm not sure this is weird, but, like, so I think I'm ugly, okay? Like, I'm not even gonna lie, right? I have very low self-esteem about myself. But then when I talk to my friends, they're like, bitch, you get paid to, like, do this as a job. So obviously, if you can make a living out of this, people don't think you're ugly. But, like, I get a lot of mean comments. That's just everyone, okay? Like, that's just how it is being in the industry. But, like, I don't care what I heart e-girls 420 on twitter.com calling me fat, ugly, and stuff, like, care. Like, it matters to me. It doesn't matter to me. It's, like, feels nothing to me. I care more about, like, if someone called me pretty, right? Like, on Twitter or whatever, I don't really care. But if it came from, like, someone I knew, I care a lot. Is that weird? Is that normal? I don't know if that's normal.
So what I noticed is that you're looking for me to tell you that things are normal or not normal, right?
Yeah. It's just because I feel like I don't know if it's appropriate for me to feel that way.
Yeah, and I think that's brilliant. I think that's what makes me respect you a lot. Is that, like, you're someone who's recognized that the rules of life that you were taught don't seem to map on to everybody else's rules. And so you don't know what part of your upbringing is normal or not normal. I think that's that's why I'm hopeful for you, man. Because you keep on figuring that if you keep on doing what you're doing, just like you were saying, 13-year-old you would have never imagined that you're in the situation that you are now. 26-year-old you is going to look back at 19-year-old you and is going to be like, wow, I had no idea that my life could come this far.
Yeah.
You just keep doing what you're doing and your life will be as crazy and different from what you imagine you could ever accomplish. My hope is that by the time you're 26, you will feel loved and you will love yourself. Like, I think it's absolutely possible.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, takes 2 to 4 years.
Yeah. It's hard because sometimes I would say I seek a lot of validation from people. Because sometimes I feel like how I act isn't appropriate. Or I'm like, oh shit, like, what if I say something weird? Or what if I say... I'm very self-conscious about myself.
Why do you seek validation?
Because I don't want people to bully me again.
So that's a part of it. But here's what I've fundamentally understood. Why do we feel thirsty? Because we don't have enough...
Yeah.
Like, why do we feel hungry? Because we don't have enough calories. Why do we feel thirsty? Mm-hmm. Because we need more volume in our blood. Why do we seek validation? If you think about what a normal human being, how much validation they're supposed to receive in the first 19 years of their life, what percentage of that have you gotten? So you have a validation debt that you've accumulated over 19 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why. Now, you've got to be careful because some people will, they'll give you $10 and it's kind of like they're swindling you at pool where they're like, oh, I'm going to lose a couple of games. I'm going to give you a bunch of validation. I'm giving you $100 bill, 100 points of validation. And then later I'm going to call you a fuckhead and I'm going to make you feel worse about yourself. And then I'm going to take $200.
Yeah. That's like a lot of people have done that to me. And also, it's so hard not to compare yourself.
Yeah.
For me, I'm so glad that I don't care about numbers on my social media. But sometimes I'm like, damn, like, where I even get these followers at? Sometimes it's just like, I get it, it's pixels. That's like the whole thing. And I'm glad I'm not like, it's like pixels, like the numbers, like likes and stuff. It's just numbers. It's not like it tells you who you are as a person, because a lot of people feel that way.
Deep.
Yeah. It's just pixels, right? Sometimes I sit here and I'm like, damn girl, like, I don't know, like, talking to you makes me feel like, wow, like, why do I underread myself a lot? Because like I have 300,000 followers on my Twitter and I'm like, wow, like, I wish I was bigger. But then if someone told me that 300,000 people like following that, I'd be like, congratulations, yay, woohoo, you're so cool. But then I don't know. It's just interesting how much I undermine myself, because I'm like, damn.
So good. So I think that's, and I know that's weird, right? Because there can be self-judgment with that observation.
Yeah.
Right. So you can feel stupid for undermining yourself and like, why am I this way? And like, so it's okay. So I think the first step is just recognizing all of your patterns. You can't fix anything as long as you're blind. Right.
Yeah.
So you have to like start by recognizing your patterns. And I think the other thing is that I would guess, I mean, I don't know about you, but a lot of people who are in your situation are actually made deeply uncomfortable by people who authentically accept them. So like if there's like authenticity coming from another person, it's going to be like really uncomfortable and confusing for you. And you may actually retreat from it.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
So
it's kind of like self-sabotage.
Huh? Yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck yeah. So that you need to do your best to stop. And the key thing there, this is where there's like a couple of like basic skills training things. So when you feel uncomfortable,
mm-hmm.
There are two kinds of ways you can deal with emotions. And this is something that a lot of people don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
If I feel uncomfortable, there are two solutions I've got. One is I can manage the emotion and not change my circumstance. Right? So like I recently went to a party and it was not my jam. I don't really belong there. So I felt kind of weird. And so like I can fix that in two ways. I can either learn to manage my emotions internally and not change anything out here, or I can change my circumstances to make the emotion go away. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I can leave the party and then I'll feel fine. The problem is that a lot of us don't. The most effective way we learn to manage our emotions is very true of men, by the way, but I'm sure equally true of women. There's just more research I've read about men. Is that men in general will change their external circumstances to control their feelings. So, for example, like if I feel ashamed of myself because I got beat up by someone, I'm not going to process the shame. I'm going to go to martial arts class. I'm going to get swole. And the next time they attack me, I'm going to put them in their fucking place. And that is how I feel good about myself, by changing all the world around me. But then the tricky thing there is that if you take that strategy, that fundamentally means what you feel is controlled by what's out there.
Mm-hmm.
So the main thing is that when you feel uncomfortable because you meet someone who doesn't fit your perfect ideal, because they're not like, oh my God, you're so beautiful, Min. Oh my God, I love you. Let me save you and heal you.
Yeah.
And you're so hot. Like, I want it all. Right? People are going to be saying that kind of shit. And then the part of you, that hungry child who has the validation debt, is going to be eating it up. Yeah. And then there's going to be someone who's like, doesn't compliment you, but actually likes hanging out with you and asks you to actually queue up in League of Legends from time to time. Right? And then that kind of authenticity can kind of be scary, because just like at the beginning of our conversation, you're sending me mixed signals. I don't know what you mean. I don't mean one or the other. It's not 50% fake.
Yeah.
But to be able to sit with that is fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so you just got to learn how to not do anything.
Yeah. It's just scary.
Yes.
Because it doesn't mean I had to commit, but then if I don't commit, I feel like I'm not going to care.
Yes.
So now I'm scared if I commit, I'm going to get hurt. But like nothing good in life, like when there's good stuff in life, there's always going to be risks. You know, like if you're in a relationship, if you love this person so much, there's a chance that you guys aren't going to end up together. Like you're going to get hurt. So that's scary. I don't like that.
Yes, you don't. And so you do everything that you can to avoid that fear, including commit to people who don't fucking deserve it. Because if you could commit, then you don't have to be scared anymore. Oh my God, we're in love. And we're like, even if things get hard, we'll fight through it. Sorry, am I mocking you? I don't mean to be mocking you.
No.
Okay. Right, but that's what happens. It's like we force ourselves into commitment to avoid the uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
But like what I'm telling you is you got to just sit with that uncertainty. Like literally, just like you don't know what's going on, and it's okay not to know. Now, this is the really hard thing about trauma, is that unknowns have become dangerous for you.
Yeah, I get stressed. I'm like, what the fuck am I?
So this is not your fault, right? So if you're asking, why am I like this? So you just think about this. Like, let's say I've got a 4-year-old kid whose parents love them. And then the parents also like are watchful and careful, right? So they let the kid go to the playground. If the kid is about to fall off the monkey bars, parents catch them. You think about how stupidly confident that kid is. Even gravity, I don't have to worry about gravity. I can fucking fall. Parents will catch me. So that kid doesn't have to worry about uncertainty, because the world is a fundamentally safe place. So like, I don't know what's behind that corner, but mom and dad are always looking out for me. So even if it's a snake, there's no bad consequence, because mom and dad are going to pick me up. So when you grow up in a secure environment, uncertainty isn't scary. Mm-hmm. But in your case,
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I feel like everything when it comes to relationship is always uncertain.
Yeah. So you got to.
I feel like they're just deceiving me.
Yeah.
So I just avoid them.
Yeah. Right. When we say they're deceiving you, not the ones who are actually deceptive, probably, right? The ones that are like not feeding you bullshit that in your heart of hearts you want. And then you pull away from that. And that, like, I don't know how to say this, man, that's got to change.
I know.
And it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Have you seen a therapist, by the way?
I go to therapy. Yeah.
Okay. Have you worked on like emotional regulation skills or mindfulness or things like that?
Yeah, I journal.
Okay. What about like, have you ever does your therapist know anything about DBT? Dialectical behavioral therapy?
I don't think so.
I would ask your therapist about that and whether they think that would be helpful to you.
Okay. Yeah. I like get nervous when like one of the weirdest things when I was growing up was that like I used to have like a friend and her parents used to drive me to school. My mom was so in debt to her. Like it's ridiculous because my mom doesn't like it when people help us because she's a very independent person. She hates getting help. And I think I get that from her too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you do.
And so she's like, "Oh my goodness, this girl would live across the street from me. Her mom would like drive me to school, pick me up from school and stuff, and then my mom would try to give her like $200 a week, like so much. Like she would try to repay her because she would always tell me not everything in life is like free, even though like some people just do things out of the kindness of their heart. They were such good parents, and it just made me so uncomfortable when they would show love to their child because I'm like, damn, like I feel awkward. Like I feel like I shouldn't be here at all.
What the fuck is this?
I was like, what the fuck? I was
Yeah.
like, wow, your parents tell you they love you. Like, I was like, oh my god, like that's crazy. It's so uncomfortable. I don't know. And then it's not like I was jealous of them, but it was just more like I guess sad because I'm like, I wish I had that. And and then sometimes I get scared because I'm like, what if I start becoming like my parents or like my family? Yeah, that's like a big fear of mine.
Yeah. I think you're, like I said, I think you will, there are going to be parts of your parents that live on in you for the rest of your life. And I don't think that means that, I don't know if you ever want to have kids one day, but I don't think that, I think
I
you're going to
do.
be, okay, I think you're going to be a way better mother than your mom was. No offense to your mom. But and it's very possible that she was a, better mother than, and I think you're working on it. Like imagine what your life would be like if your mom was in therapy at the age of 19.
Yeah, I sometimes I get sad, or I try not to get sad about things in the past
Okay.
because it's pointless.
No, it's not, but let's keep going. Keep think.
My mom used to tell me like she thinks if my dad wasn't like addicted to gambling, and he wasn't like so in Vietnam, there's no such thing as alcoholism. It's very bad. Like drinking in Vietnam is very bad. So if I would say my dad was a alcoholic, but he's like, oh no, I'm just drinking. It's just how the culture is in
Normal.
Vietnam. Yeah. So my mom thinks like if he wasn't an alcoholic and a addicted gambler, like we would be a happy family. And it sometimes makes me sad because I'm like, man, I wish, like it's not even like if you guys had gotten divorced, I wouldn't really have cared. If you had at least put in a little effort in being present in my life, I would have liked that. But he didn't really put any effort into it. And it kind of made me upset because he would try to like act like my parent even though he abandoned me as a
Yeah.
parent. Yeah. It's very weird.
Plays the script of being a dad when he's around, when he shows up.
I don't really I don't know. I haven't talked to him in like 3 years. Yeah, I haven't talked to him in 3 years. It kind of makes me sad because I feel like a bad person.
You feel like a bad person?
Yeah, because I cut him off. Because
I do my best not to be judgmental, but I'm going to say good for you.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard for me to walk away from things, especially when I have a.
Oh, yes.
I wouldn't say I was close with my dad. It was just hard
Yeah.
to walk
So
away.
one of the hardest things with trauma is that it's hard to abandon the people who abandon us. Because we know what it's like to be abandoned. And it hurts so much. And you want everything, you will do anything in your life to not be your dad. And what did your dad do? He abandoned you. And that's why it can be so hard to say, you know what? I'm done with this. Because then in that moment, you become in some weird way everything that you didn't ever want to be. You become the very thing that hurt you in the first place. So shouldn't you be better? I know it's kind of fucked up, but nah.
Yeah.
You set the limits that you need to take care of yourself. And
Yeah.
like there's a big difference between what you do and what he did. He abandoned a child. You're severing a relationship with an adult because of their behavior. Right? It's like fucking night and day. It's not even the same ballpark.
It's hard because like when the reason why he cut me off was because it was during COVID, and so he like I had asked for a new phone, but I didn't have a job at because it's fucking COVID. Everyone was like jobless, and so I was like, "Oh, can I get a new phone?" Because I don't ever ask. Growing up, I didn't get a lot of things. I didn't ask for a lot of things because we just didn't have the money. But I asked for a phone because I haven't had a new phone, and so like I was like, I'll pay you back. And when it comes to money, I don't play with money because I didn't grow up financially stable. So if I tell you I'm going to pay you back, I will pay you
Means you're
back.
gonna pay me.
I
Yeah,
won't.
I
Yes,
get
I
that.
don't. I don't play with that.
You ain't gonna be
Yeah.
indebted to anybody.
Mm-hmm. And so he was like, okay. So he got me a new phone, and I told him, I said like, hey, can we wait? Like, let me make sure I get a job first. And so like 6 months passed. I didn't get a job yet because it's still fucking COVID. And he calls me up and he's like, "You're such a worthless bitch." He's like, "You're such a disgrace to me, this and that." And he's like berating me. He was like, "I can't believe I call you my own daughter." And he's like yelling at me, and I'm like trying to have a conversation, and I'm like, I will pay you back, but if you're gonna talk to me like this, I don't even want to pay you back. You're disrespecting me. The least you can do, because he didn't pay for child support when I was growing up, the least you can do is pay for this fucking phone. I'm sorry. Like, you didn't even have the decency to be my parent. At least pay for this fucking $600 phone. It's nothing to you because you're gonna gamble it anyways. At least make use of your $600 on me, you know? And so I cut him off and I said to him, I was like, don't ever talk to me again. This is very hard for me. Don't talk to me again. I don't need you to disrespect me after you abandoned me multiple times, because I don't need people like you in my life. I don't care if you're my father. You were never a father to me. Like, it's that was very hard for me to say and walk away because it hurt me, because I know it hurt him. Like, I'm sure as a parent that probably fucking hurts, cuz I'm like, I think the hardest part was that he told me I should go off myself. And that was very hard for me, hearing that from my parent, because I'm not sure. It's just hard hearing my dad telling me I should off myself. Yeah.
I'm so proud of you, Min. Like, for doing that. Not offing yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
but just like, you're right that it does hurt to hear that. But I mean, that's the truth of it, right? It's not, there's no point in like, and this is what I like, it's not your responsibility to protect your dad from the consequences of his actions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens when we don't hold people accountable. Like, they keep doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes it's hard for me to step, because when I get angry, I'm like my parents, so I don't stop.
Yeah.
But sometimes I have to take a step back and I'm like, these people, they're traumatized. Just think little of them. Not like they're stupid, but like just think of them as people who have been hurt. Hurt people. You have to move on. You have to better yourself in order for you to have a happier life than them. That's how I always like
It's very
try to.
resilient. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard. I don't know. Sometimes I get sad and I'm like, maybe I should text my dad, try to fix up the relationship. But I've tried so many times with like social workers. Like, growing up, I had a lot of social workers, and it was just so difficult. Like, people like him, it's so hard for them to change, and it makes me sad because
Sure.
I know you don't want to be, or I would like to think you don't want to be this type of person where they don't have a relationship with their daughter. But then, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like he doesn't care. And then I go through this spiral of like.
So here's what I would say. Right, I've never met your dad, right? So I'm going to just offer a generalization here. I think the really sad thing about this is you're right. I think he wants to be a good dad. I think the problem is that he's not willing to make the sacrifices it takes to be a good dad. Does he care about being a good dad? Undoubtedly. The only problem is he cares about other stuff more. And I work with people who are addicts. Like, that's my day job. And what I find is there's like basically one thing that determines whether an addict is going to get better or not get better. Mm-hmm. And that's whether there is other stuff in life that is more important to them than whatever their addiction gives them. Beginning and end of the story. There's a ton of research that shows that the development of something called a competing interest is vital to overcoming an addiction. You have to have a reason to quit. You have to care about something more than whatever the gambling or whatever causes.
That's right? Why I don't hold things against him, because being addicted to something is like it's hard. I know, because my dad was one.
So, I would encourage you, Min, to treat him fairly on both sides, right? So if you're going to forgive him, that's totally cool. Like, good on you. You're a better human being than I am. And sorry for making a comparison. I didn't mean to trigger something, but I was just talking out of my ass. But also that I would encourage you to like deal with that same degree of detachment about repairing your relationship, right? So it's like, okay, like he is who he is, and you can accept him for that, but that also means like you don't have to do 200% to make a relationship work, because he is who he is. And in order to make a relationship work, it takes two. Like, you can't, I mean, you may be able to fucking carry people in League of Legends, but you can't carry people in, you cannot carry someone in a relationship.
Yeah.
And
it makes me sad.
Yeah.
Because I wish, like, sometimes it's frustrating because I wish someone would do that for me, but sometimes I don't feel that way.
Yeah. And I think someone will do that for you. And it starts with like a couple of basic things, like the tolerance of uncertainty, the acceptance of other people's positivity. Because shit, I'm pretty sure like Twitch chat is trying to do it for you right now. Right? I don't look at chat, but I imagine that like I feel really positively towards you. I understand why you evoke savior complexes in other people, because you are this like very, very like, delicate, damaged kind of, you got this sort of shit going on, but you're also incredibly strong. You have people rooting for you because I think we see the goodness in you.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is it's going to make you really uncomfortable to be able to accept that. Yeah. And even feeling indebted, like, bruh, you got to learn how to let people do things for you. It doesn't mean that there's a debt. There's no debt if it's a gift. The problem is that you fucking turn all the gifts into debts.
Yeah. It's hard because, like, the biggest thing I learned in the past maybe year and a half is realizing how much my parents gaslighted me as a child. So, like, one weird thing they would do is, like, I don't even know why I remember this, because I don't remember much of my childhood. It's like a mental block. But I remember I used to cry a lot because my parents used to be like, "Oh, Mintom, who do you love more, me or your mom?" Like, my dad used to ask, and I'd be like, "Oh, I love mom more. Oh, I love dad." Like, like kids pick like each other, And then he would be like, "That's so fucked up of you. Like, how could you pick that?" And then they like kind of like engraved it in my brain of like, they're not gonna be with me forever. Like, when I was growing up, I thought they were gonna die. And that scared me, because now like I feel like they're not gonna, I think they engraved it in my brain was because they didn't want me to go through the hardships they went through of having no parents when they were growing up. So they were just like preparing me. But I don't think that's how you prepare people. I don't think that's what you say to kids. But they used to like tell me like, "Oh, like we're gonna die soon." Like, and I used to think they were gonna die the next day, and I'm like, "What the fuck? Why are you still?" Not that I wanted them to die, but I'm like, "What the fuck? Why are you still here?" And so now I feel like when I commit into people, I think they're gonna abandon me. So now I have commitment issues.
Yeah, totally cool, dude. I mean, you're 19. You've got time to work on it. And the one thing I've heard you say over and over and over again is it's hard, and you're right, it is. And it's okay to not do well, right? So this is the other crazy thing is like it's hard, which means are you gonna succeed, Min?
I hope so.
I hope so too. But what do you think?
think I can do it.
So here's
I
the
think
crazy thing. I think that there's going to be a lot of failure along the way.
yeah.
I think you'll get there eventually. And I think it's completely okay and does not change your value as a person. You don't have to succeed to be a good person. You don't even have to try to be a good person. Trying is a step in the right direction. And I think it's going to be hard, but like, you're awesome, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I try to be kind to myself, but sometimes it just feels like I'm fucking climbing a tree or something. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to go to the moon.
Yeah. So let us
Yeah.
help you.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to do all the kindness yourself.
Yeah. I get scared because I'm not sure. That's the one thing I don't like about myself is that I get scared too much of getting hurt by people who I love the most. Because I love hard. Like
Oh,
if I
yeah.
love you, I love you. Like I care about you. I'm a very giving person. That's like the biggest thing my therapist told me. Man, Tommy, you're such a giving person. You gotta stop. Like that's the biggest thing she told me. She's like, "Bitch, you gotta stop." But it's so hard because I wish I had someone to do that for me when I was growing
Yes.
up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you just have to stop for now, by the way. So I encourage you to be as selfless as you are and as giving as you are. The only problem is you can't do it with the wrong person because they'll take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So give 110% to someone who's willing to give 110% back, right? That's what a really healthy relationship is. It's not withholding. It's being kind of stupid and reckless and vulnerable with the love that you have to give. I think it's great. Only problem is you get fucked like 90% of the time because the other person isn't willing to give the same thing, right?
So fucking like, losers queue.
Yeah.
Fucking losers queue.
And so I mean that's life though. It's like it's kind of like YOLO. And so I think where you are and where a lot of people are at the age of 19 is like slow it down a little bit.
I know. I get so stressed. I think so ahead, and I'm like, dude.
Yeah, dude, just chill.
Yeah. My friends tells me I have I think I'm I'm in my mid-20s having a midlife crisis. Sometimes it feels like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's going on in the world is we've shifted to early life crisis. So I don't think people have their midlife crisis like earlier in life.
Yeah, I feel like I've been having that.
So what happens with a midlife crisis is you do everything that you're supposed to, and then you kind of wake up one day and you're like, holy shit, this is not working out the way that I planned. And the only thing that's changing is like a lot of younger people, 18, 19, 20, like you kind of do what you're supposed to. And then you wake up and you're like, holy shit, this is not working. And so then you really have to figure out. So I think the early life crisis is when you follow a script, when you follow the map and you end up like not where the map tells you should end up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you panic because you're like, wait a second. I was told that this map, the GPS leads you right into the ocean. It's like, wait, this is not what was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And before, shit worked out until you were like middle-aged. So you wake up, you're like 45, you're balding. You're like, got a mortgage.
Yeah.
You have friends who are divorced who are going to like party. Yeah. And so then you buy yourself a really fancy car to try to feel young again. And now what's happening is like that kind of like the world becomes a shitty place for like 20-year-olds.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't know. Hard as fuck. I don't know. I wish sometimes
True that.
Like I know my friends who are like, bitch, I don't know what I'm doing. Girl, I don't know what I'm doing either. And
that's normal.
It feels nice knowing that I'm not by myself. Like, oh, like I'm a clueless fucking 19. No one knows what the fuck they're doing. But yeah.
I didn't figure out what I was doing until I was like 28.
Really?
Yeah.
Did that make you feel like you were behind in life? Sometimes I feel like I'm behind in life.
I am behind in life. It just doesn't matter. Yeah. It's just, who the fuck cares? It's like let's just think about this, okay? If I'm behind, like life is a race, What's the finish line?
I don't know.
Death? Like, that's
death.
Why are we racing towards people are like, so here's the thing. Everyone's like, oh my God, you're behind in life. I am behind in life. I spent most of my fucking 20s dicking around, for the most part, having a good time and neglecting my responsibilities. I have friends who, like, I remember I was like 26. And people that I went to high school with, like, I met up with them and I was like, oh, what are y'all up to? And they're like, yeah, I'm a doctor now. And they're like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm applying to medical school. It's like, they're already done. I'm still applying. I haven't even gotten in.
Yeah.
And then I sort of think about it, right? I thought about it a little bit later. I'm like, hold on a second. Would I rather start work in my 20s and like grind and retire early? Oh my God, let's retire early at the age of 55 and then live my life. Or would I rather fuck around for 10 years in my 20s and really like enjoy stuff when I'm young and then I can start work later? I'll retire at 65 with the other humans. What's more valuable? And I think being young is like, that's when you should be having fun, not necessarily grinding. Everyone's like, I want to start grinding and retire early. It's like, what the fuck, dude? You're going to have like,
I
retire
did that.
and get your fucking hip replacement and stay at home for 3 months.
Yeah. I did that. Like when I first started OF, I was like, eat, sleep, wake up, OF. And then I would wake up at like 6 p.m. and then rinse and repeat every single day. And I did that for until like recently because I kind of hit like a burnout. I'm trying to get back into it, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm behind.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The question is, are you moving in the right direction? The question is, are you happy with your day to day? Right. So I think it's okay to be behind. I think this is the thing is for a lot of us, like a lot of people like get caught up about like being behind or something else. And yeah, you're behind. So what? You're taking a gap year. Like,
yeah.
What do you like? Work on yourself and be happy. It sounds like you're making some money, which is good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It makes me feel good because my friends, they're like, I wish I could do your job. But then I'm like, it's kind of love-hate relationship.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
So we've been at this for a couple hours.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I feel a lot better. I actually learned a lot.
What did you learn?
It's good to like be nicer to yourself, like to be kinder to yourself and accept compliments and to like walk away from things when they're not like, I guess, when they're hard. It's okay to walk away from things when they're really hard.
Yeah.
It's that boundaries.
Yeah. I think walking away from stuff is an under-practiced and underappreciated skill. Everyone's like, oh my God, I abandoned it. Like that. Abandoning stuff is sometimes the best decision you can make. Like abandoning bad relationships. Like, why the fuck did I waste 7 years of my life in this shitty relationship? I should have just pieced out 1 year in.
Yeah.
Quitting is one of the most underrated skills. Yeah, and I think, do you have any other questions? But I think that's a beautiful summary. And I'm like...
No. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I feel very, I feel like my day is going good now. Like, you made my day. Having a very deep conversation.
Did I make your day? Who's responsible for the way that you feel right now?
Me.
I get 50% at least, okay? Can I have 50% and you take the other 50? Can it be like a...
Yeah, we both made my day.
Yeah, good. It's fucking weird. Like, no, dude, I deserve some credit.
Yeah.
Okay. No, but really, that's what it is, right? It's not all me and it's not all you. It's like, this is what a relationship is. It's like two people, or a conversation at least, is two people participating together. And so, like, I'm happy to take 50% of the credit, but you better give yourself a pat on the back, too. That's the only, you know.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
So I'm not quite sure about this, but generally speaking, when people come on and they're content creators, we will give them a chance to share where they are on the internet so people can come and find you. I'm not sure if that is a good idea or a bad idea here, so I will leave it up to you. Okay. So you can share it if you want to. I don't want to
Oh,
deprive you of that opportunity, but also at the same time, I'm
uh-huh,
not going to default to it because I think the kind of content
uh-huh.
creation you make, it could interfere
Um,
with this conversation or
I'll
connect with it
just
in a weird way.
drop I'll just drop my Twitter. You
Okay.
can do what you want with the Twitter. So my
Great.
@ is plushygf, and then my Instagram is plushygfs.
Nice. And
That's
I see
it.
you have plenty of plushies.
Yes, I have
So
plenty.
thank you so much for taking the time
Thank
to
you
talk
so
with us
much.
today, man.
Thank
And
you so
and
much, Dr. K.
good luck with everything.
Thank you.
And we're rooting for you.
Thank you so
And
much.
don't take shit from people, okay?
I won't,
Give
Dr. K.
give
Thank
shit
you.
back.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.
All right, take care. Thank you so much.
Okay. So, different. All right. Let's plushy GF. So so I know that there's like lots of like jokes and shit going on right now, you know. And like I think it's okay if we recognize where that's coming from, right? So there's something about this that's like maybe we feel uncomfortable like seeing an OnlyFans creator as a human being and feeling some degree of like emotional connection because sometimes there's parasocial relationships and stuff like that. And it's okay. Right. So if you like feel uncomfortable by this whole thing and you're like cracking a joke here or there, like let's try to keep it respectful, but let's see it for what it is. Right. So I'm not going to like say, I mean, you know, okay, good. So I think a lot of us are behaving, I think, very appropriately. And this is what we do here is we talk to human beings. And sometimes these human beings have different labels. Right? We define them by some aspect. Today we're talking to an OnlyFans creator. Tomorrow we are talking to a, you know, let's say a doctor or someone who struggles with this or something. They're all people. And I think the thing that I enjoyed the most about this is I think she's like a really good example of like a lot of stuff. I don't know if y'all have seen the trauma deep dive that we did, but I see a lot of those elements there. And so I think it's like, you know, a lot of the stuff that she struggles with, I think a lot of people in our community struggle with. And stuff like, you know, not being able to be indebted to someone. When if you sort of think about it, if you're unwilling to be indebted to another human being, it's very hard to form a relationship. There are studies that show that asking for a favor and returning a favor increases the social bond between two people. You may say, but I'm not indebted if I return the favor. No, it's actually being in debt and then repaying that debt. It's different from never being in debt in the first place. And so we get so caught up with some of these things that we don't realize that, like, I don't want to be indebted to another human being keeps me separate from other human beings. Because human society is built on the transference of debt. And that's why society is falling apart right now, because debt is not evenly distributed. We're not doing stuff for each other, right? Some people are doing all the taking and some people are doing all the giving. That's why there's a problem. But, you know, I do you a solid, you do me a solid. You know, I save your ass one game, you save my ass the next game. That's how we become closer. So one of the most underrated skills is learn how to be in debt. Get that debt, pay it back. Critical skill number 2. Got to be a better quitter. Everyone's like, oh my God, I don't want to be a quitter. And all these people with the Sigma grindset are like, quitters are losers. Let's play this tape through to the end. Are all the choices that you make in life going to be good? No. Because you are not omniscient. You cannot predict the future, which means you will make bad choices. If you make a bad choice and you are not a quitter, what does that mean for your life? That means that you will stick with that choice for the rest of your life. And the bad choice will become a bad life. If you are a quitter, that means that a bad choice doesn't have to be a bad life. You can piece out of stuff. Okay? So being a quitter is very, very important. The other good thing about being a good quitter is some of us are paralyzed with indecision. Oh my God, how do I know if I am making the right choice? Is this the right person? Is this the right major? Is this the right job? And you have to pick right. Unless you know how to quit. Then you can pick wrong and you can just quit. So if you are paralyzed because you don't know what the right decision is and you can't afford to make the right decision, everyone's like, this is how you figure out what you want in life. Like you did all this introspection and journal, bruh. Don't fucking journal. Learn how to quit. You don't need to journal. Just learn how to get good at piecing out of stuff. Now, people may be confused. Because isn't quitting bad? I quit too much. That's why there's a kind of quitting. There's good quitting and there's bad quitting. One really simple difference. A bad quitter is a quitter who's quitting because they are controlled by their emotions. If your emotions drive you to quit and you can't handle them, that's bad quitting. A good quitter quits from a place of tranquility. I'm in a toxic work environment. I'm not like stressed out about it in this moment, but I can objectively realize this is a toxic work environment. It's not good for me. I'm not happy here. I'm a peace out. Tranquil, chill. I'm done. Bad quitter. Oh my God, I can't take it anymore. Oh my God, this is so anxiety provoking. Oh my God, I can't show up. I'm just going to ghost everybody and everything. Being controlled by your emotions. That's the big difference. So process your emotions, take a deep breath, become tranquil, decide what's right or wrong for you. Life is too short for you to waste your time trying to turn chicken shit into chicken salad. Okay? So learn how to quit. Underrated skill. So I tried to become a monk and I quit that and I went to med school. Became a doctor. I was going to be an oncologist. I quit that and became a psychiatrist. Was climbing the academic ladder at Harvard Medical School and quit that to become a streamer. My life is a series of successful quits. Everyone's like, oh my God, succeed, bruh. It's walking away from good shit. Right? Learn how to walk away from good stuff. Because it's when we don't walk away from the good things and the right choices that we have these midlife crises. They told me to major in computer science because I would have job security, and I did it. They told me to marry this person because they said that we were a good match and our values align and we're both Jewish. So I did it. They said now is the time to have kids because if I get too old, then the risks of things like autism spectrum and Down syndrome and all these other things are a problem. So I did it. And then I wake up one day and I'm 40 years old, married to a person that I don't love, with kids that I do love and a job that I hate. And the basic problem, I was never willing to walk away. And I made all the right choices. You can make all the right choices in life and end up in the wrong place. The big irony of life is that ending up in the right place involves sometimes making the wrong choices. And like, I'm grateful for that. Like, my wife made a stupid choice staying with me. It was dumb. I was a 25-year-old, no money, no job, no prospects, nothing. Any sane person would have said, break up with this bitch. Right? Even I was like, bro, what are you doing with me? Like, you deserve better. And she was like, yeah, so if I deserve better, I'm still not going to break up with you. And so I was like, well, shit, I guess if you deserve better, I have to be better. And I went into Chad mode. And here we are today. Right? So learn how to quit. Seriously, it's good. So, sometimes we get terrified and paralyzed by the expectations that people put on our shoulders. But I challenge y'all to don't be scared by the expectations. Just meet them. If people think that you can be perfect, you just fucking meet them. Show them that their expectations are right. Don't defy expectations. Don't abandon expectations. Just meet them. Just do what other people think you are going to do, because you can do it. Right? Do it for yourself. Do it because if someone else thinks this of me, I'm going to show them that they're not wrong. I can be what other people want me to be. And this may sound really weird because like, oh my God, Dr. K, like other people's expectations screaming, shouldn't I be what I want to be? I want to be what I want to be. How's that working out for you? Right? So sometimes the best thing to do is just meet expectations. 10 out of 10 voices today. We can do others. We can do this accent. We can talk Texan if you want. Let me tell you what. Once upon a time. We'll do the next one in Texas. Let me think about what else. Let me think about what. Let me think what else. What's the other lesson? What other lessons did we learn? Chat. I'm drawing a blank because now I'm thinking about accents. What did we learn today? Don't have to forgive. Very good. Let me think about the... Oh, yeah. So I got to tell y'all something. One of the things that we don't understand, right? A lot of people are like, oh my God, I'm a sucker for validation. And we say to ourselves, I'm vulnerable to it. Other people tell me I'm pretty and I lap that up. I eat it like a second helping of Mama's peach cobbler with ice cream on top. And then we tell ourselves, I shouldn't be like that. I shouldn't be so vulnerable. I should be strong. I should be stoic. I should be Texan. Like a cowboy. An island amongst itself. But the truth is, if you grew up in a space where you did not get the love that you deserve, youngins, when they're growing up, need a lot of love. They need more love than peach cobbler, just like my grandma used to say. And when you don't get that love, you have this deep, deep debt of validation. And then you'll go on seeking it to get that filled, get that hole in your soul filled from the validation of others. And it's all right to have that and need that. The problem is that some people start to recognize that they can validate you one day and treat you like shit the next. And you'll keep on coming back. Right? The hardest relationship to leave is the one that is perfect 50% of the time. Because every day, oh my God, they're so perfect. They make me feel so good. They love me so much. And the next day, they're awful. And you know that it's in them. You know they have the capacity to love you and give you everything that you want. You've seen it before. Hell, they gave it to you yesterday, so you stay. And they treat you like shit. And then you say, I'm going. And then you flip a switch in them. Oh my God, they're leaving. I got to turn into perfect. And they become perfect again. I love you. I'm so sorry. I'll never hurt you again. Don't leave me. I want to change. I want to be the person that you deserve. And so you stay. And then you wonder, why is this on again, off again? Because you discover that the only way to make them perfect is for you to leave. So you got to be stepping out, stepping in, stepping out, stepping in, stepping out, stepping in. It's a honky-tonk in here. And then you have these on again, off again relationships that just run you ragged because there's no consistency. You don't know what to expect. You don't know if it's going to work or not work. But the thing that brings out their best behavior is you walking out the door. Ain't no way to have a relationship. How's that? Belle Delich is like, what is going on? All right, so we'll do, maybe we'll like, I'll get myself a cowboy hat and we'll do like a cowboy advice stream. K don't stand for Kentucky. K stand for Texas with a K. Teksis, Texas. We ain't got no X's in Texas. You know why Texas is such a hard part of the world to date in? Because there's so many X's. We need to take the X's out of Texas. All right, so at some point, we can all acknowledge that we're just having fun, right? This isn't life advice, chat. What the fuck does that even mean? I don't even know. Wait, what? Which part? That's what makes this fun. Y'all have to figure it out. Okay, meditation for quitting. What a good idea. Let me think about this. Okay. So, there's actually a very good meditative technique to quit. It's hard to do it here. Let me just think about how to explain this for a second. So there's a really good meditation technique that will help you become a better quitter. And the first thing that we've got to understand is, why do you want to be a better quitter? Because if we think about a lot of what holds us down in life, it is the investments that we've made, right? We have to throw good money after bad. I've already spent 4 years in this relationship. Maybe I can turn it around. And so we're afraid of letting go of our investments. And all of our effort has to give us a yield, right? It's this loss aversion that I can't afford to take the loss. And there's a really beautiful technique that monks in, I think probably maybe Tibet, figured out many, many, many thousands of years ago about how to train yourself to let go of your investments. And what they came up with was something called a mandala. So what they do is they take a lot of different rice and they'd color it with different colors. And then what they do is they'd make a pattern. They'd spend days and weeks making a beautiful work of art that is a mandala. And then once they create this beautiful work of art, they put all of their energy into it for days and days and days. At the end, what do you do with a mandala? Destroy it. You put all of this effort into it. And the last step is destruction. Wiping it all away. And if you think about, isn't that stupid? It's brilliant. And the reason is because what is meditation about? It's about training your mind. And so what are you training your mind to do? Destroy the fruits of your labor. And once you are willing to destroy the fruits of your labor, then you can walk away from things that trap you. What traps us is when we've invested so much, then we can't walk away. So you literally need to train the skill of accepting losses. And as much as I want to say, go play online video games, queue up for League, and that will teach you how to accept losses, I wish it were true. If anything, multiplayer gaming teaches us to resent losing, get angry because someone took something away from us. So seriously, y'all should do mandalas. You should do something that is a useless effort. That's the key. Zen has this as well. Where if you look at like a lot of Zen gardens and stuff, they've got all these like cycles that don't do much, right? The water thing fills up and then it tips out. Fills up and tips out. It's a waste of effort. And there are so many other things that a mandala can help us do, because once we're willing to waste our effort, then we're not miserly with it, right? Because if you think about what are you free with? That which you have a lot of. And so like, a lot of people are wasteful of water, for example, because they've got plenty of water. So I can afford to waste it. Some people are lucky enough to have a bunch of money so they can be wasteful with their money. And what we are so miserly about is usually our time, because time is limited and no one gets extra time. But then the problem is if we're so miserly with time, we can't afford to spend it. I don't know if I can afford to date this person because I'm getting older. Do I want to give the best years of my life? What if it doesn't work out? I need to be sure before I get started. I don't know if this job is for me. I don't know if moving is for me because I only get to choose once. And I can't afford to have any of my effort wasted. And when you can't afford to waste your effort, you look for perfection. You look for guarantees. You look for certainty. Then you'll expend the effort. I don't want to invest in stonks. Let me know what's a sure bet. Then I'll put my money in. But then we end up not investing in anything. Then we end up not even giving relationships a shot because we don't know if it's perfect. Because we have this effort in this time that is so limited that we can't afford to waste. And the big scam there is that you're wasting time one way or the other. Time is ticking away whether you spend it on this relationship or not. There's no better way to spend time. It's just time. It's going. Every second is going by. You've lost 10 more seconds. Listen and be. And so don't be afraid to waste your effort. And if it's hard for you to waste your effort, then do the mandala. Because when you're willing to spend your effort, that you will actually start to see returns in life. It is the willingness to spend, because then you're exerting it. You're giving it out. The more that you're willing to waste your effort, the more that you can spend on a daily basis. And now I'm giving 100% every single day because I don't have to worry about saving it because it's disappearing anyway. And then your life starts to change because now you're exerting 100% effort. It's what you always wanted. Instead of being paralyzed and being unable to do anything. And so as you exert 100% effort, your life starts to turn around. You're like, holy shit, how did I get here? You got it by wasting your effort. It's really bizarre. So if you want to learn how to waste your effort and you want to learn how to quit, mandala is the best. And by the way, Burning Man is a societal mandala. It's beautiful. Because we're going to go to this place in the desert, we're going to build something, and then we're just going to fucking tear it down. The history of humanity is all about monuments made to last. It's greed. I don't want to build something that's going to be gone tomorrow. I want to build something that'll be there for 1,000 years, 10,000 years. Ozymandias. Tremble, mortals, in despair. But we can learn something from Burning Man. Which is that things can be created and they can be torn apart, and we can accept that. So, you don't have to go to Burning Man and expose yourself to all that. You can just do a mandala. Do you have good book recommendations for this topic? me think. Not really. I mean, I think you can look at stuff on, so I like if you want to read about like, okay, let's find y'all a book recommendation. Let me just see if I can find you a resource. So what I would start is understanding the term vairagya. Okay. Actually, so I guess Dr. K's guide is a resource. I suppose I should have. So I would start by understanding that the key search term here is vairagya, which means detachment. Varagya. Okay. So we teach a lot of these principles more in depth with Dr. K's guide, especially to meditation. So I would definitely check that out. But I would start with, honestly, the Wikipedia page, and let's see if there's a good... Yeah, so a lot of the stuff on Vairagya in the Wikipedia page, there's got to be books on Advaita Vedanta, which are pretty good, or you could read the Bhagavad Gita, which I understand that you guys don't know how to spell any of that stuff probably, so let's do this. Okay, so Vairagya. So you can check out the Wikipedia page. Definitely check out Dr. K's Guide to Meditation. And then you can read the Bhagavad Gita. Or you can read a book on Advaita Vedanta. Those are my recommendations. Thoughts on drinking every weekend if it's not affecting work at all? Here's my thought. If you're drinking every weekend and it isn't affecting your work, is it okay? My response to that is you should not shape your life based on what does and does not affect your work. Optimal performance at work is not the right compass to structure your life around. That's my thoughts. Everyone's like, I do drugs, but it doesn't affect this part of my life. And it's like, bro, it doesn't affect that part of your life, but like, what about all the others? It's like you drink every weekend. Like, wow, so you're spending all of your free time drinking. A year from now, what's more important? That you worked well 5 days a week, or that you spent your weekends in a meaningful fashion? Right? And I'm not saying don't drink. Like, if you enjoy it and that's really how you, if you look back on your life and you're like, wow, I'm really glad I got hammered every single weekend last year. If that's the choice you want to make, go for it. Right? I don't know. I didn't mean to be an ass there, but you asked me for my thoughts, and that was like, I'm at the end of stream here. I've been doing this for 2 hours and 40 minutes, so I get like a little bit disinhibited, and my frontal lobes start to get exhausted, so I like let fly. So I apologize if that hurts anyone's feelings. Right? And it's like alcohol is a lovely part of many people's lives, and if that's what it is for you, go for it, right? I know people who enjoy sitting around a fire and sipping a beer. Like, that's cool if that's what you want to do. Could I just verbally abuse you? Honestly, no. I'm happy to be authentic with you, but I won't verbally abuse people. What about meth? Meth is a bad drug, dude. Stay the fuck away from meth. So we support alcoholics now? Sir Friday Ficken, we don't support alcoholism, but we've supported alcoholics from day one. I don't think that's changed. Right? And I think sometimes that gets us in trouble. It's like, you support these people, you talk to this person. Yeah, like that's what we're about. We try to do our best at like compassion for all human beings. And I'm not saying that we're going to give it to all human beings, because I'm human, which means eventually I'm going to meet someone and I'm going to be like, fuck you, no compassion for you. It's got to happen. But we can still shoot for the ideal and say that we're going to have compassion for 99% of human beings. Dr. Cornelius is canceling their meth order. Good for you. And for real, though, y'all should like get help if you're using substances a lot. Like, for real. Go get some help. And you may say like, but I don't need help. And it's like, okay, just go and try to get some help and see what it does for you. Because oftentimes until we get help, we don't really know what the value of help is. Where help? So if you're looking for support around specifically an addiction, I'd highly recommend that you go see an addiction therapist or psychiatrist or something like that. If you don't know what exactly you're doing in life and you need help and you want to sort things through, group coaching is fantastic. And that can be like talking about marijuana and alcohol and stuff too. So like, I think if you really concerned that you have a clinical problem, I'd so go see a clinician. But I think what's cool about like group coaching is that this is what y'all deal with. Okay, what about relationships? What about self-esteem? What about feeling indebted to people? What about alcohol? Right? And when you have a group of your peers that's known you for 14 weeks and they're like, I hate to break it to you, bro, but I don't think the marijuana is helping. And these are people that know you at that point. They've given you good advice before. They understand you. You've helped them. You guys have a relationship. That matters a lot. Because I can be here and I could say, hey, alcohol is bad. Marijuana is bad. Meth is bad. And that's true. I will say those things. But I don't know how much that's going to change your behavior. So I think for a lot of like, I don't know what kind of help that I need. Or even I think this is the problem. This is the other big advantage of group coaching, is that oftentimes we think we know what the problem is and we work on that problem, but we don't actually get better. So I see this a lot, for example, with social skills, where people will be like, okay, my social skills suck. So what I need to do is get better at social skills. So what am I going to do? I'm going to watch YouTube videos on social skills. And then eventually I will become confident enough or practiced enough in my social skills so I can feel comfortable socializing. Right? That's the goal. Is right now, if I go to a party or even meet people on the street or go to a meetup, I feel really uncomfortable. I don't know what to say. So I'm going to fix that problem first. And then sometimes we like upgrade, right? Okay, I'll go to a Discord chat. I'll develop online relationships because I feel more comfortable doing that. And there's this idea that if you take enough steps in safety, you will be competent in the middle of the ocean. The problem is that like that kind of keeps you stuck, right? Years go by, you keep on watching stuff on YouTube about how to socialize. You learn all these techniques. You listen to people like my ass. But then you don't actually it's really hard to cross over. And so one of the cool things that we found in group is that like people actually get a chance to practice their social skills and they become more socially confident. They start to develop the ability to develop relationships because they're able to be vulnerable and authentic. They're able to listen and challenge other people. Because there's a lot of people who are like, I hate socializing because I hate having stupid small talk conversations. How do I have meaningful conversations with people? Like, well, you learn how to be vulnerable. You learn how to listen. And so y'all should definitely check it out. We have spots that are open for the first time in a long time. And I really think it's good for a lot of what holds us back. So our group coaching program was designed to be an antidote to the negative effects of technology. That's what it's built on. So when we were conceptualizing it, it's not a particular problem. The problem that it really aims to solve is when we live in a world that leads to social skills atrophy due to technology use, when we live in a world where the things that are supposed to connect us are actually increasingly isolating, like Tinder, when we live in a world where there's an overabundance of information and not enough guidance. What should I do with my life? You'll get 1,000 answers from 1,000 different financial gurus or success grind set Chad people. And which one should you do? And everyone's out there looking for the right answer to the problems in their life, but they're looking out there. And we love that shit. Those of us that give y'all that advice, we're like, bring it on. And why do we have an endless level of content here? Because me telling you what to do with your life fundamentally will never work. You can learn something, sure, and it seems like we help people. We've got some good data behind that. But the basic problem is that you have to look within yourself. That's where you get held back. It's not that you don't know what to do, it's that you can't bring yourself to do it. And so group is designed to target all of those things. It's designed to help you understand yourself, designed to help you understand other people so that you can understand yourself. Give you a chance to develop self-worth by helping another human being. Give them the chance to challenge your views. And hey, maybe the problem isn't, that everyone in the world is out to get you. Maybe the reason that you have bad relationships is because of the way that you treat other people. Like, holy shit, that's insane. Accountability, understanding, compassion, authenticity. So check that out for sure. That's where you get help. That's why we build these kinds of things. Right. So this is when people someone saying, but I can't. I get that. Right. That's why you have to show up somewhere where there's like a trained facilitator who will help you. You're like, I can't dance. That's why you go to dance class. Okay. Who are you rating today? Right. So I feel unmotivated to do anything or speak to anyone. That's why so I think the main thing here is that all you have to do is show up. That's what makes the group coaching experience good. We'll take it from there. All you have to do is show up. And then we will do the work of engaging you. Does that make sense? Squeaks? Oh my God, dude, should we raid Squeaks or should we raid someone? There's a guy named Veg Squeezy who's got 2 viewers who's playing Minecraft. Squeaks? Okay, let's do Squeaks. Bro is playing Counter-Strike 2. 2 viewer Andy? Dude, okay, we're going to go back. We're going to do 2 viewer Andy. Veg. Oh my God, dude, this is so great. Okay. Let's go 2 viewer Andy. Veg Squeezy. We'll get Squeaks next time. Okay, remind me to raid Squeaks next time, chat. Okay, ready? Let's go, chat. Invade. All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.